You're watching the Jiffy Lube Rivalry Series.
In all of American folklore, Paul Bunyan's story is the tallest tale. No wonder his axe is the symbol of a rivalry that began in 1890.
You earned the right to play a big game.
This year, the trip to the Big Ten title game is also on the line.
There he goes, Jonathan Taylor!
Wisconsin meets Minnesota for the 129th time.
Welcome to Minneapolis and a wintry mix today. ESPN College Football presented by Track Phone and a presentation of the Big Ten on ABC, part of the Jiffy Lube Rivalry Series. And this is the most played rivalry in all of college football. It is dead even historically, and the battle for the Paul Bunyan axe has never been bigger. A precious trophy, a Big Ten West Division title, a chance to take on #1 Ohio State and Indy, and the Rose Bowl, Kirk. All on the line. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor has the tough job today in these conditions, but you can just feel the energy and the excitement. An unlikely season here in Minnesota, trying to keep the ball rolling, keep the boat rowing.
Yeah. You know, Wisconsin's used to this. They of course, been used to this since Barry Alvarez took over this program. But I think it's different because of what's at stake for both teams. You come into a rivalry game, the winner is advancing to Indy to the Big Ten championship. Man, it's fun when both teams have so much going.
The Gophers have a dynamic passing offense. It'll be a challenge for Tanner Morgan and his two great receivers to execute that today in these conditions, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's confident when he talked to us yesterday that he can handle the ball in difficult conditions. Has the top two wide receivers in the Big Ten, both over 1,000 yards. Has a 1,000-yard back in Rodney Smith. So they have weapons all over the place. It's about being balanced today and efficient. And Tanner Morgan right now, in my opinion, executing as well as any quarterback in the conference.
Badgers are so good at limiting opponents' possessions. They control the ball, that big offensive line, and Jonathan Taylor continues one of the great careers we've ever seen at the college running back position. He loves these conditions. He's pumped up today.
And he's first of all, he's a class act, does it the right way. One of the hardest workers you're going to see. But, I think Minnesota's determined to stop a guy. Let's face it, 3 straight 200-yard games. They're going to load up. They're going to put 9, 10 guys in a box. Wisconsin's used to that. In fact, they've come up with some new wrinkles. They've gone wildcat with some of the receivers, jet sweep, play action, anything they can do to take the pressure off at 23.
Gophers hadn't seen the axe for about 14 years. They went to Madison, pulled a big upset. The Badgers have come here today to try to get it back. PJ Fleck, Gophers energetic third-year coach, is with Maria Taylor.
All right, thanks, Chris. Coach, I watched you embrace every senior as they came out of the tunnel. What does this opportunity, this game mean to them and this team that's put their trust in you?
They've been through so much. 3 head coaches, 3 different cultures. They didn't have to stay. We stole Bo Schembechler's line that those who stay will find a way to be champions. They at least guarantee themselves a share, but now we'd like to do something different.
What do you have to do to guarantee that you're playing in that championship game in Indy after this?
Well, I think both teams are going to have to take care of the football. I think the turnover battle is going to be absolutely critical. Whoever misses the least amount of tackles and breaks the most amount of tackles, and then explosive plays when they present themselves.
All right, thanks for your time, Coach.
You got it. Row the boat, Sky Go Gophers.
They enter this 129th meeting dead even, 60, 60, and 8. Look at the total points. Just 6 more for Minnesota. Incredible.
It's incredible. You can't find that in too many rivalries. That many years and to be deadlocked like that.
It's fun. The Big Ten has a lot of trophy games. This is my favorite, that big 7-foot-tall axe. If there were nothing else on the line, that would be plenty for these players. But today, of course, there is so much more on the line. The temperature hovering around the freezing mark. The precipitation is veered between sleet and snow, and there's a pretty stiff breeze blowing out of the east today. Tremendous energy. First ever visit by College Game Day this morning. A sellout in this cozy on-campus stadium. Badgers won the toss. They want the football immediately. So Grant Ryerson will boot it away. You saw Faion Hicks, the sophomore return man. Ticket to Indy. And a chance to take down #1 Ohio State on the line today. Aaron Cruikshank is the deepest returner, and he'll have a go from the 1. Cruikshank trying to get the corner, but he's cut down at the 20-yard line. There are 2 flags up on the opening kickoff. Coney Doerr fits it back down to make the tackle.
setting the tone for a rivalry game. A Wisconsin and Minnesota player connecting right around the 30 to 35 yard line, and 2 flags coming in right where they were colliding.
Holding number 58 on the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
2 of the least penalized teams in the country. They average less than 5 per game. Well, Jack Cohn comes from Eastern Long Island, where lacrosse is huge, and he was headed to Notre Dame, committed as a freshman, changed his mind. He was the New York Gatorade Player of the Year. He's worked with Phil Simms in that New York area, and he's a junior. Very efficient, very accurate passer, but the penalty backs the Badgers up in their opening possession, Kirk.
Kid's played with a lot of toughness this year. His teammates admire him, really want to play for him. That's big in a game like this on the road in this environment.
No surprise, Jonathan Taylor with the 262nd carry of his season gets out to the 15. Kamal Martin stopped him. Wrangler spotlight on Taylor, who's closing in on a couple of huge milestones today.
Look at the amount of yards that he's had. Doak Walker winner a year ago. He has 12 games over 200 yards. It's an FBS record. 3 straight coming into this game. You'll really watch him today. Watch his patience. Waits till the line's able to get to those linebackers. And his acceleration is outstanding.
Taylor just 11 yards away from 1,700 this season. He's got it again, running left. Only Herschel Walker has done that in each of his first 3 seasons. So he's going to join Herschel today, very soon, it looks like.
Yeah, very, very special. One of those things as a player right now you can't maybe appreciate, but when you're done, you look back at all your accomplishments. But today, I think Minnesota's defense, talking with their staff, they said, listen, we're going to put 8 or 9 guys up at the line of scrimmage, want to try to have to make the quarterback, Jack Cohn, in the passing game have to beat us.
Badgers offense very efficient on 3rd down. They need 3, and it's loud. Taylor stutter stepped in the backfield, and he will not make 1st down yardage. Early penetration blew the play up. Carter Coughlin, and the Badgers go 3 and out.
Boy, the senior Sam Renner does a nice job of being able to get penetration. Watch him work and push through this big, powerful offensive line. And what does he do it with? Quickness. Just able to get right by David Moorman, the left guard, and into that backfield. They felt that to be able to slow down Taylor, they've got to get to him before he starts to get downhill. Great example there on 3rd and short.
Among the best in the country at avoiding 3 and outs. Just the 27th this season. And so the penalty backed them up. Gopher defense does its job. Anthony Lottie boots a low punt. Fair catch made by Douglas at the 49. And Minnesota will have tremendous field position. The first go for Tanner Morgan, who comes from Northern Kentucky.
So we got a Gopher down. The linebacker, Kamal Martin.
Part of that punt return team. He's being attended to by the athletic trainers at the 27-yard line.
Got up and then went back down. There's a look at Tanner Morgan, who's just enjoyed an incredible year this year, taking over as the quarterback. Not only the passing yards, but the efficiencies, making really good decisions. Only 5 picks on the year. And run, you're going to see a lot of run-pass option today where they can run it and they can pull it out and they can get the ball out to Rashad Bateman and also Tyler Johnson.
Morgan, part of an all-freshman rotation, won the job. And then when Zach Annexstad injured his foot in camp, and gave him the job. Martin's been battling a knee injury for the last few weeks, so that is not good news as the starting linebacker has helped with the sidelines. Wind at their back in this opening quarter, and it's a pretty good wind, blowing the snow east to west. Rodney Smith, the senior from Georgia, 1,000-yard rusher this season, to the right of Morgan. Play action on 1st down. Morgan across the middle. They run those kind of routes a lot, and they look for Rashad Bateman a lot.
Yeah, they do. They looked over to get confirmation from the offensive coaches. They got man free. They spread them out with 4 receivers, got the look that they wanted, and the safety sitting right in the middle of the field. He's seen this all week. studying film and just getting ready to play. Burrell that time, if the ball was thrown accurately, would have been a big-time collision. That'll be a play you'll see a lot.
Bateman and Tyler Johnson, both 1,000-yard receivers, both matchup nightmares for defensive backs in this conference. Morgan still got it. He'll loft it downfield. Bateman's got it! And the Gophers strike quickly!
But they're so used to potentially having to defend those quick slants. It reminds me a lot of how the Penn State game started, where they attack. Look, they're trying to show that they're going to throw to 6 Johnson. Instead, they get the one-on-one matchup, and he's able to go right by Sumar Melvin, who's in this game to play as a true freshman.
Yeah, Rashad Wildgoose, the starting corner, out with an injured foot today. Melvin playing just his 3rd game of the season, draws the assignment on Bateman. Hello.
Second play of the game.
A dynamic Minnesota passing game. The pump fake, and Bateman pulls away from the freshman, and the Gophers with a dream start to this crucial collision for the Axe.
Yeah, they end up trying to show this look right here to give the safety a look to make him come up. A little stutter and then go on the outside by Bateman. Watch the safety jump that route. Now you've got the one-on-one, and the freshman Melvin slips. But the ball, second throw of the game, with the wind at his back. Great touch there by Tanner Morgan for that first touchdown here for the Gophers.
Wire receipt booted away, and Cruikshank will leave it there. BJ Fleck felt like his team is ready for its moment, and we know he is. He was inspired all week, bouncing around as he always is.
It ain't that bad. I've seen way worse. Well, I couldn't picture anything else that this type of weather between us two. We won 10 games for the first time in the regular season, 1905, when Teddy Roosevelt was president. Like, yeah, that's awesome. So far, that's great, Coach.
This is what we all dreamed of right here, a game like this. Just go be Rodney Smith, the forgotten one. Shadow, love you.
Today's for you, boys. Today's for you. Got it. Go, bring it down.
Authentic. You may not think so, but that's the way he's always been in Western Michigan and here at Minnesota. Taylor, left side, still alive, and he'll fight for about a yard.
Good effort there by Taylor to keep it alive, but that defense is swarming. I'll tell you, man, I'm no different than everybody else. First time I saw him, he was a GA at Ohio State, but when he became the head coach at Western Michigan and got some national attention, I thought, wow, this guy's really energetic, right? Then you get around him and you're like, I really like him. Like, I would love to play for him. In fact, I'd love for him to be my neighbor. He seems like just a great guy. I want to hang out with him.
His original mentor, Jim Tressel, said, PJ, you're a little different.
I love
You're going to be polarizing because of that. Garrett Groshek spelling Taylor. He's in the flat, but Cohn's looking downfield, and he's got a completion on the far side to Quintez Cephas, his most targeted receiver.
Yeah,
first down.
This is a nice throw. Nice in rhythm, balanced throw by Jack Cohn. You see Ferguson takes the corner there, Durr underneath, and it's an easy high-low read. Gets his eyes on that flat defender, playing zone, stays up tight with a talented tight end, and he goes right over top of him to Cephas, who's got great potential. We've talked so much about Minnesota's receivers this week. I'll tell you, this might be top to bottom the best group of receivers Wisconsin's had in a long time.
Cephas, like Bateman for the Gophers from the state of Georgia, did not grow up with this weather. A first down throw in the flat, and he's got it again. And Cephas is going to be knocked down after a 3-yard gain.
See, I'm a fan of the little wrinkles that Paul Chryst will use today. May seem simple to you, but this is not your typical offense of 2019 when you watch college football. They don't have their 3 tight ends because of some injuries. They'll play just mainly with Jake Ferguson. They're going to spread you out. They're going to run the ball. That's their goal. They want to run Jonathan Taylor, but they've got to do just enough to make you have to respect and fear other aspects of the perimeter game and the downfield passing game.
High formation on 2nd and 6. Got to hurry. Just got the snap off. Taylor running right, and he'll lose a couple yards. Chryst and Joe Rudolph, who's the play caller, both Wisconsin graduates who played in these Axe games.
Absolutely. And Chris, look at the amount of jerseys in that box. That's what I'm talking about. Come up with some wrinkles, because you're going to run into an 8- and 9-man box. And if you're going to fall in love with a player today, I want you to watch 11 in maroon. Antoine Winfield Jr. will be all over the field, defending the run and using his instincts in a pass game. Complete package, arguably one of the top safeties, if not the top safety in the country this year.
Absolutely. He relished the idea of colliding with Taylor today. Third down, Cone from the pocket, incomplete. Broken up in tight coverage against the tight end, Jake Ferguson, and a nice play made by Jordan Howden. Once again.
Nice job of bringing pressure from the right side. They use a twist, and even though they didn't get to him, they forced him to get rid of that ball, and I think maybe affected the accuracy, and very, very tight coverage there by Howden there on the tight end, Ferguson.
This Minnesota defense, an inspired start. And again, it's Lottie to punt to Demetrius Douglas. Tricky day for the punters. Nothing for granted today in the snaps, and Douglas makes a fair catch back at the 23. So the Gophers, after a 2-play touchdown drive, go back to work after this.
ESPN, home of the New Year's Six and the College Football Playoff. College football on ABC is presented by TrackPhone. The new TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. In part by Jiffy Lube. You can do more in a jiffy. And Chex. Pre-game to post-game. Chex is full of possibilities.
The Axe has been the prize here since 1948. Before that, they played for the Slab of Bacon trophy. You might prefer the Slab of Bacon trophy.
I like the Axe.
Okay.
I like the Axe. We had a bunch of Axes this morning on College Game Day. They brought them from everywhere.
I like the dude who shaved his chest hair in the shape of the Axe. That was a good touch.
That's an effort. That took a lot of effort.
For offense, running it for the first time, and this is Rodney Smith. There were a lot of sideways runs looking for that seam, and he gets about 3.
Yeah, what they do is they put a lot of stress on the linebackers and safeties of any team that they're playing, because you have to respect Rodney Smith. Ibrahim, Brooks, they mix in 3 backs, they keep them fresh, and if you respect them too much, then you're going to pay for it, because they're going to pull it out and be able to throw the ball downfield.
Seth Green, to Kirk's a big physical wide receiver, is going into Wildcat here. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns from this position. Not really a long distance guy. And he's going to keep it, runs behind the tailback, and he is knocked down hard short of the 30-yard line. It'll be third down. Richie Pearson, the safety, came up there.
Fa'alele, the right tackle. I'd love to run behind him. 6'9", 400 pounds. Watch him, number 78. I mean, those are normal size big defensive linemen, are 300 pounds. The big fella, 78, look at him. 6'9", 400 pounds. Poor Sanborn, the linebacker, only comes in at 6'2", 232, has no chance against the 400-pounder on that play.
They need 3rd and 3. Melbourne, Australia. Fa'alele.
Monster. I'm going right behind him.
Morgan's looking to pass. They get pressure off the edge. A high throw, and the catch made just first down yardage by Tyler Johnson, the other half of that dynamic tandem.
Yeah, Bateman is electrifying, can be explosive downfield. This is third down. You see in about 3. There's the experience of Johnson, the awareness there by the quarterback, Tanner Morgan. Gets it to him as he's about a yard beyond the first down marker. He's able to catch it and then get pushed back. Forward progress gives him the first down.
Johnson comes from the north side of Minneapolis. 66th catch on the season, 35 games in a row with a catch. We'll see him work downfield today too. Gophers trying to take advantage of having the wind in this first quarter. And it's Johnson, nowhere to run. They swarm him and knock him back. Isaiah Loudermilk off the edge, joined by the top tackler, Chris Orr.
Yeah, it's nice to see this defensive line make plays, because usually it's the linebackers. They're slanting, which allows these linebackers to come in. They're very active, but the D-line right here does a nice job. They roll the dice, slant back into the boundary, and see how those linebackers are freed up. 57 Sanborn, 54 Orr. Guys are going to make a lot of tackles today against the run game for Minnesota.
Wisconsin defense that's allowed a lot of big running plays and a lot of explosive plays in the last 5 games. They've been vulnerable. And as we said, they're nicked up in the secondary. Play clock at 1, but Morgan snaps it, pressure, and sacked. Hit from behind by Zach Bond, the blitzing linebacker.
Their 2 linebackers, Chris Orr and, of course, Zach Bond, are as active and as quick as anybody you'll see. They're the ones that have to get after the quarterback. Look at that step. That first step get off against a tight end trying to be able to block one of the top pass rushers in the Big Ten. And he just really just didn't appreciate, maybe undervalued, disrespected how quick he comes off the edge, but went right by him.
Chase Young leads the Big Ten in sacks by a big margin, but Orr and Bond are 2-3 in that category. So on 3rd and long, Morgan buys time as Chase again escapes, still surveys the field, and now lobs it downfield to Bateman, who makes a catch in Badger territory for a first down. What poise by the quarterback.
Yeah, Tanner Morgan is really known more for his ability to stay within the confines of the offense. He's not always this creative. I mean, I thought he'd give up on the play, throw it away. Bond chased him, he gets away from him. Vision, eyes downfield, and then the accuracy on the run to find his go-to man, Bateman. And give Bateman a lot of credit. Watch him work with his quarterback. Trying to find a little bit of space to get back, and the ball gets up and over the safety for a heck of a throw.
Fans here old enough to remember Fran Tarkenton patrolling these?
I don't think so. You and I are.
There's a little Tarkenton-like. Now a first down throw, and it's Chris Ottman-Bell getting involved. Minnesota has never had a pair of 1,000-yard receivers. Johnson, the veteran, who's endured so much, so many different regime changes here. He's been inspired by Bateman, who's bought in. He's got a row the boat tattoo on his arm.
How about that? It says a lot about the culture that I think has been created here by P.J. Fleck, when you have so many playmakers and yet you have guys encouraging and being happy for one another, even if they don't get a chance to touch the ball. And I think it's genuine, too. I mean,
oh, yeah.
These guys are pulling for each other.
Very similar stats. Ibrahim is going to be wrestled down, still fighting for yardage, but he's going to be short of the marker inside the 35. 3rd and short coming up. Baalele, the big fellow we talked about, slow to get up. And was a rugby player in Australia, obviously had never played and knew almost nothing about American football when he arrived here. He was still learning the rules. Well, they attend to him. We'll step aside. Awesome job by the student section at game day, and the Taco Bell Live Mas Student Section of the Year contest continues. Minnesota making a strong case today. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see how your school can compete and get the committee's attention by using hashtag Live Mas Student Section Contest. Baalele helped off. Gophers drive continuing here with a 3rd and 2 play. Span Ford, the tight end who just came in motion there, who came across and appeared to step on the left leg of Baalele. A dynamic passing plays early on led to a touchdown by Bateman in the 2nd play of the game, and now they're marching again. And you wonder, Wisconsin's players in their careers, Kirk, have had a lot more experience in big championship moments. They're regulars at the Big Ten championship game. It's pretty new for Minnesota. But Fleck felt his team, just like the Penn State game, would come out and play like this. Yeah,
it reminds me of the start of the Penn State game where they came out with an attitude to show their opponent that they mean business that day. Now the game will settle in. Now it's about executing. For Wisconsin, they've got to try to get their offense on track. Right now, haven't been able to get Taylor going. I think, again, even though the weather isn't the best, they're going to have to find ways to take pressure off that run game.
Ohio State overwhelming Michigan again. And they've got to the Wildcat here. This is Seth Green again, a big 240-pounder. And they'll try to convert on the 3rd down with him straight ahead. Very little deception. The Badgers know it's coming, and they were ready. Keanu Benson is the only true freshman starter in this game. Made the stop, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, this is just a wall of white jerseys. Watch the entire middle of the Wisconsin defensive line. Just shoot gaps, hold the point, allow the linebackers to rally. And Green, who had momentum there, kind of running downhill, but a good job up front again by that defensive line of the Badgers.
And Fleck from the 35-yard line, rather than going for it on 4th and 2, will play field position. A pretty conservative call, trying to put his defense back on the field and pin the Badgers deep. And they whistle before the snap. Took the delay and they'll back it up. Surprising that PJ's not kind of putting the foot in the gas here, up 7. 35?
Not really. I mean, with these conditions, the way their defense is playing, nice lead early. If you can pin them, try to pin them. They really don't have a field goal kicker that's an option right here. So
some of the coaches use the analytics, and the analytics would say that you're better off to go for it here.
Yeah, they would.
But maybe the analytics don't factor in the wind and the snow.
Right.
Herber's boots hit high, gets that back spin. This turf is heated from below to keep it from freezing, so you get a nice big bounce there. And it is down inside the 10-yard line. Gophers defense has been stout early.
Yeah, they've done a good job with a number of things. So far, the penetration has been a factor. Being sound with the gap discipline, where Taylor nowhere to run the football. And then the other thing is that they're loading the box. And anytime you can put more numbers than those linemen can block, obviously it's going to give you a chance, and that's why Wisconsin's going to have to find those wrinkles. The problem is, Chris, it seems like when they have the ball, they're starting inside their own 20-yard line every single drive. It's tougher to have those wrinkles when you're backed up so deep in your own territory.
And Jonathan Taylor held to 9 yards in his first 5 carries. JT again off the left side, and he'll get about 5. Maria, how you doing down there?
I'm hanging in there. You know, the sleet is just starting to come down. Good news for Minnesota. Kamal Martin is back out on the field. He did spend some time under the tent. It's still that right knee. Remember, he injured it against Rutgers and spent Penn State on the sideline and Maryland, but he seems to be okay now. He's back on the bike. You see they were carting off Lele, so I'll give you an update on him as soon as I get one.
Thank you, Maria.
Was a great surge on that last play, one of the first we've seen in this first half for the Badgers.
Taylor again, and not the most dramatic run of his career, but that should get him to 15 yards and that 1,700 mark for the season. Again, each of his first 3 seasons joining Herschel Walker in a club of 2.
Says it all right there.
Very humble guy, kind of underplays. I don't think he knows how great he is.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. Just he likes to put in work and put the ball in his hands. Never complains about anything. How many carries? Not enough carries. Just everything you want in a superstar running back is Jonathan Taylor.
He's on the sidelines though on this 3rd and 3. Cone, he gets a 4-man rush, feels pressure, gets it out nicely, and a completion for a first down to A.J. Taylor. Quarterback just enough time to get the ball out.
Really good route by Taylor, who cuts in and then away from Williamson 6. Williamson thought he was coming in and actually jumped the route. And then you could see Taylor, even with the slippy conditions, puts his foot in the ground, works to the outside, and an easy throw there for Jack Cone on 3rd down and short. It's one of those games, man, when you celebrate a conversion on 3rd and short.
They're working into that win for the next minute 43. Nakia Watson, the freshman from Austin's in the game. He's in the flat. He's got the football, and he's going to be tackled for a loss. The pass forced him to spin, and that gave Sori Martin time to get there.
How quick did he accelerate and take Watson out? I mean, this is a great job and a good feel. Almost like he anticipated they were going to throw that ball on 1st and 10. He got out there even before Watson did.
Second and 13. Groshek is the back. Gophers are showing some pressure. And the slant gets made by Cephas, and he's got a first down out to the 35. They were crowding the box expecting a run there, it looked like.
Well, I think he was eyeing Antoine Winfield Jr., and when Antoine Winfield Jr. went with the action, it was a run-pass option. He pulled it out, saw him just out of position because he's so aggressive against the run, and they went back to the quick slant. Good read, good feel there by Jack Cohn.
17-yard pickup. Another quick throw off the hands. Cephas, who was coming in, and a flag comes in. Two of them in coverage. Benjamin St. Just, the graduate student corner.
Yeah, he got in here. He got in a little early, right in front of the official. Cephas was fired up right after it. Again, going back to 1st and 10. They're throwing the ball. Quick slant. Both the left hand and even the right hand over top of the receiver, Cephas, and a good call by the official. Notice how they work out of the depths of their own territory, and they're able to kind of come up with some different things that they want to do today, even into that wind in these conditions. Then you can go back to your bread and butter.
Cohn pretty efficient, short passes, but he's completed 5 of 6 in these tough conditions. Taylor back in the game. Oh, and a false start. Well, even two teams that are
71. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It's Paul Van Lanen, one of the veterans of that offensive line. Even these teams who are disciplined, well coached, you can see that the emotions of this game, what's at stake, some uncharacteristic early miscues.
Not to mention for Wisconsin, on the road in a rivalry game, and this stadium is pretty hostile right now for the offensive linemen.
A lot of those guys, Kirk, they're playing hurt. Van Lanen was okay, went through the concussion protocol. David Moorman, Erdman, Jason Carr. Both guards are banged up. Play clock winding down. Does Cohn see it? No, he had to call a timeout just in time to avoid another 5-yard penalty. Tonight, 7 Eastern time, a good one. LSU has slipped behind Ohio State, now number 2 in the CFP rankings, trying to dodge the upset as Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies come calling at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Don't know if it's going to be 74-72 like last year's
I'm just looking forward
to overtime game in College Station.
Looking forward to kicking up and watching that game.
It'll be fun.
It'll be a great time.
Joe Burrow closing in on the SEC season passing record held by Tim Couch. Just needs 262 tonight.
Remember Kellen Mond in that game where A&M scored a lot of points, had a monster game. LSU's defense, I think, pretty intentional and fired up to go up against him again.
So 1st and 15 after the timeout. Both tight ends shifting to the left. Jet sweep motion. Taylor's got it. And this is his first big game. Banging into Minnesota territory. First down inside the 45.
A nice job by the offensive line getting up. Doing a really good job of that jet sweep. See how it holds those safeties just enough? Both 11, Winfield, 23 there. Howden had to respect it. And by freezing him just enough, 23, Taylor, he does not need a lot of room with his acceleration and vision that he has.
11 games in November in Taylor's career. He's never had less than 120 yards, and he averages 194 in November. Gophers struck quickly, lead 7-0. Back after this, and a word from your local ABC station. And welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by TrackPhone, part of Jiffy Lube Rivalry Series. Downtown Minneapolis, short distance away across the Mississippi River. Snow is flying. This rivalry game, which is a matchup of top 15 teams for the first time since 1962. That would be I hope, a dead Badger. Nakia Watson is the back. Cohn looking to throw, and it's a slant. And Cephas has got it. Ball comes out. On the carom there, sorry, Martin. Incomplete is the ruling. Big hit delivered on the receiver by St. Just as the ball got there.
I thought that ball might still be in play and have a chance for a big turnover. Using the jet sweep, just to try to affect the eyes. Cephas has his hands on it. St. Just able to knock it away.
Sorry, Marin hoping that the ball did not hit the ground. Tremendous job of St. Just coming over the receiver's head, but the ball clearly off the ground. Second and 10. Watson is still in there for Taylor. They fake it to him. Cohen under pressure. Got rid of the ball just a fraction before he wanted to, and Cephas couldn't come up with it. Thomas Barber on the pressure as we check with Cassidy Hubbard for an update. And Cassidy -2 of that tied offense, not looking as dynamic, is it?
No, they're off to a slow start, maybe a little one-dimensional. Joe Rossi, the defensive coordinator from Minnesota, boy, he's dialing up some pressures today. And see what he does on third down, showing it coming from the right side.
Brochek is the back. They need 10. They rush only 3. Cohen escapes the pocket, going to try to run for it. He will not get there. Stopped about 3 yards short by Otomewa. Now it's 4th down.
We just talked about how they're showing pressure. They've been blitzing. This time they show it on third down and fall back out of it. See them up tight, end up rushing just 3. By rushing 3, you have 8 in coverage, and those 8 in coverage, the playing zone means their eyes are on the quarterback and able, even against that scramble, able to keep him short of the first down.
So Kamal Martin injured earlier. He's back, but Braylon Oliver, their freshman third down blitzing linebacker, being attended to. Another break. Similar position as you see Oliver walking off. Fleck chose to punt the ball on 4th down, but down 7-0. Paul Chryst has the offense on the field. Taylor back in the game. They need to make it to the Gophers 34. Wisconsin 11 of 13 this season on third down. Most of them about this distance. Tight ends shifting to the left, and it's an end around that direction. Kendrick Pryor will make the first down, knocked down at the 31 by Howden.
It just comes down to trying to seal the edge. Watch 84, Ferguson kind of pinning down. You got a couple linemen pulling around to help out. The fullback Stoke as well. Then it just comes down to speed and whether or not Pryor can get to the edge and pick up that first down.
Now I've got Aaron Cruikshank, sophomore, quick 5'9" player in it. Wildcat quarterback, ball is out. Gophers have it. You wondered if they'd use the Wildcat wrinkle in bad weather. Different guys handling the football. Carter Coughlin has come up with a turnover. Delata Bader forced the fumble on Cruikshank.
Yeah, he's able to come right through here. They studied their film. They know that when one gets in there, Cruikshank, what they did last week to Purdue, he was electrifying as a compliment to Jonathan Taylor. As soon as he comes in, they took him out, forcing him to give the ball, and instead he keeps it, and they force the fumble.
And Fleck is excited. A guy like Delata Bader symbolizes team of twos, he said. Too small, too slow. The labels being shattered by a bunch of overachieving guys like number 46. And that is a big takeaway as Kirk, the turnover troubles for this Badger offense continue.
Yep. Delata Bader, one of those guys you said his eyes lit up when we brought his name up in that meeting yesterday, even though he doesn't have a ton of production. Selfless player, comes up with a big one.
Smith bounces it ahead, but that's the 14th fumble lost by the Badgers, and that's really been a problem. Look at the number of fumbles they overcame the 4 against Purdue, but Chris said absolutely gotta clean that up today.
Especially when you look in the first half of the season when they were shutting people out for their first 6 games, shutouts, 5 turnovers in all 6 games, and since then it's been a mess.
Makes it -9 turnover ratio the last 6 games combined. So the Gophers on 2nd down. Morgan took a peek downfield and tried to run it, but ran into heavy traffic and will lose yardage.
Again, this defensive line, I mean, linebackers are always going to be able to pressure with the blitz. You see 54, who's been so active this year, Chris Orr. But those defensive linemen deserve a lot of credit with the way they have played, and especially the way they're playing in this first half. Relentless effort and attitude. That time it's Isaiah Loudermilk who got in there to help out.
Or a guy who grew up in Texas watching the Aggies and the Longhorns. That was his favorite rivalry game, he told me, but he has grown to love the battle for the axe. Play clock winding down inside 5 on this 3rd and 11. Morgan gets it off and feels the pressure and gets it out, and it's intercepted. Picked off. Caesar Williams looking for grass, and he'll be dragged down from behind. So an exchange of turnovers has the Badgers back in business.
You know, he forced that one. First time in this game that Tanner Morgan makes a poor decision. Kind of floats it under that pressure. He tries to go up and over, and in fact did not make it over Sanborn, who tips it. It goes through the hands of Tyler Johnson, but it was really the forced throw trying to go over top of 57. Sanborn, he touches it, and great athletic ability and hand-eye coordination off that tip pass by Caesar Williams to come up with that interception.
Williams' first pick of the season and just the 6th thrown by Morgan. So off the fumble by the Badgers offense, the D gets it back and sets them up in plus territory. The blitz is picked up, but the pass is broken up very nicely there by St. Just.
These coaches feel that he's got a future playing in the NFL. 6'3", 200 pounds, twitchy, which is very rare to see when you have such long arms and long limbs, for him to be able to have great change of direction, great athletic ability, but that time he used his length to be able to knock that ball away.
Canada by way of Ann Arbor, ending up in Minneapolis as a grad player. Second and 10. It's Groshek. And Garrett Groshek barrels for a nice gain near the marker. Tyler Biadasz, the Outland Trophy finalist center, made the block.
Yeah, the linebackers rolled the dice here. Barber, 41 especially. He tries to make a play. 41, watch him get in there. He goes low and dives, misses the tackle, and that's what freed it up for Groshek to be able to get up to that second level. Nice blocking as well by that offensive line.
Groshek, former high school quarterback, Amherst Junction, Wisconsin. Leaves him a 3rd and 1. Taylor back in the game. And Taylor cut down right at the line of scrimmage. Did not make it. It'll be 4th down.
Jamal Teague, who's in there substituting. They're rotating a lot of different bodies inside to the interior. You'll see 52 right here. 3rd and short. He's just trying to use his hands. Nobody picks him up. See Jake Ferguson, who's coming, but he got upfield so quickly, nobody's able to keep him out of the backfield.
Taylor is broken free for just one long run, but he has been contained, and now he'll go for it on 4th and 2 again.
Remember, they went wide with that jet sweep on the last 4th down.
And this is going to be a sneak with that push from behind. Cone is going to make it easily. That was a strong quarterback sneak.
All Chris said, the axe is on the line. Getting to Indianapolis is on the line. Rivalry game on the road. You got to go back to old reliable, the old offensive line.
He got 4 yards.
It's one of their best runs in the first half. What a great push there. Led by the center, who's one of the best in the Big Ten.
Taylor was so excited that Biadasz is going to join him in Atlanta. JT, the one Doak Walker Award a year ago, finalist again, and as we said, Biadasz up for the Outland Trophy. Nakia Watson back in on 1st down. He's got it, and it's tough sledding against that interior of the Gophers defensive front. 4 veterans, just seniors all the way across.
They came in again determined to try to stop this running game. I mean, they're selling out against the run. And, you know, you have a mix of veteran leadership, guys that are, as you say, selling out, Chris, with guys that have been making plays all year. It's a team that's very determined. They want to make Wisconsin have to earn everything that they can today. It's tough between the tackles right now, running the ball.
It's Taylor who's headed for the flat. Cohn took a peek that way in the end zone. He had Taylor open, but he dumped it off short to A.J. Taylor. No relation. And it's going to be third down. He's slow to get up on the sidelines.
I don't know if he held on to the ball. I mean, he was bobbling it as he was going out of bounds. I don't know if he completed the process of the catch. He wanted that wheel route to Jonathan Taylor, but he ends up checking it down. See the bobble? Does he hold on to this after? Right there it came out.
We'll take a look at the replay review, but you're right. Jonathan Taylor had curled open in the end zone. And does he have control? It would be one for the replay crew to look at.
College football presented by TrackPhone on ABC is brought to you by Pacific Life. 150 years strong. Protection and retirement solutions for your future. And General Mills. Bring more to your game day with General Mills tailgate recipes. See what you can create at wearetailgatenation.com.
25 years since Minnesota's actually kept the Axe with back-to-back series wins. They did look at Taylor's catch. He had control, lost the ball after he went out of bounds. So the short gain sets up a 3rd and 3 for Wisconsin. Badgers just 1 of 5 so far on 3rd down. Groshek is the back. They fake it to him. Cohn looking for the end zone. Lofted up high. Catch made. Incomplete. Cephas could not get the toes down, and it's 4th down.
They're trying to get to the back of the end zone, and Cephas just could not get 1 foot down. Both come out of bounds on that back line. So close with the right toe, but both clearly out of bounds. Paul Chris trying to catch Minnesota napping by trying to work that back line. Just unable to execute there at the end.
Legatron, they call him. Zach Gins hit a 62-yard field goal at the end of the first half against Purdue. He's not usually the short-range kicker, but he earned the job with that mega boot. So he takes over responsibilities and he knocks it through. And the Badgers are on the board. 7-3 Minnesota. Well, Russell Wilson played his part in the Axe. Badgers, of course, had it, but in November of 2011, Wilson brought Wisconsin in here. Played beautifully, and they kept the Axe, and he got a chance to parade it around to the Badger fans. You'll see Russell and the Seahawks in Seattle taking on Kirk Cousins, former Big Ten quarterback, and the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Countdown at 6 o'clock Eastern Time begins it on ESPN and ESPN app.
It's like Taylor, who had that reception that they reviewed, being helped off.
Let's check in the Bears' den. He had that big puffy coat on the set of Game Day today.
Got to keep.
Half-life trivia question time.
No need for the puffy coat inside the truck here.
You good, Bear?
Today's half-life trivia question. Gophers, of course, have not been to the Rose Bowl since the 1961 season, 62 Rose Bowl. It's a long drought, but not the longest. Which Big Ten Pac-12 team currently has the longest Rose Bowl drought since their previous appearance?
Is this a combined question, or one from each conference?
Just the one. Big Ten or Pac-12, just the one.
That's got to be Oregon State, right? Derek Anderson didn't take him there, did he?
No, but I don't think that's the answer. We'll debate that here.
It sounds like you and Bear must have talked
first. Upman Bell couldn't get it. We never confer.
Well, you just said that pretty confidently. No, that's not the answer.
I said I don't think it's the answer.
Okay. Good pressure. Trying to dial up a little bit of pressure. Those linebackers, again, what they're trying to defend against. Got a little bit high there.
Chris Orr delivered the shot.
Yeah. Well, he's had a great year, especially pressuring the quarterback. 11 sacks on the year.
48th game of his great Wisconsin career. Shannon Brooks, who's the senior from Georgia. He rotates in at tailback on 2nd and 10. And Morgan has to retreat, throws it in traffic, and a nice hands catch made by Tyler Johnson. That's a tough catch in these conditions. First down yardage.
Tough catch, but how about the throw? It's a fadeaway. He's falling back and makes that throw. Behind the linebacker, Sanborn, and to the quick slant with pretty tight coverage there by Williams. He's falling back, just kind of flicks that with his wrist and puts it accurately to Tyler Johnson.
Zipped right past the linebacker Sanborn.
For all those summer workouts, all those reps you take over and over and over, just such great chemistry with Morgan and Bateman, and as we saw there with Tyler Johnson.
Take it to Brooks, another slant into heavy traffic on the carom, almost intercepted. Eric Burrell thought he'd come up with it. There was a flag in the secondary. Kirk Soraka, who calls the plays for the Gophers, said that in windy conditions you have to be mindful.
Pass interference. Defense number 2. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Reggie Pearson flag. Had to be mindful, Kirk, working into the wind. It was going to be more of this, the short passing game, not the deep shots as much.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake there. It was on 21, not on 2. 2 didn't even touch anybody, so innocent bystander. 21 was in coverage, Caesar Williams.
First down now at the 45. Brooks still in the game, and tailback. Plenty of time for the pre-snap adjustments. Man, does he do a great job with the RPO game, doesn't he? There's a handoff, and Brooks runs it for about 5. So much of the decision-making, the efficiency of this offense, he rarely makes the wrong call, doesn't he?
Yeah, and because they're so explosive running the ball, it makes linebackers and safeties have to wait just to be sure. Did he hand it off? Is he throwing it? And of course, he's reading an area, not always just a player. He's reading an area. They'll throw RPOs to the backside, not just the play side. So it's pretty elaborate run-pass option game that Minnesota has with the playmakers at receiver and in the backfield. I think that's what makes it so dangerous.
2nd and 5. It's a run for no gain. You were complimenting him on the details, the footwork, the ball handling skills that he has.
I think, you know, the margin of error is so slight when you live almost every, I don't want to say every play, but a lot of their plays are kind of from that tree. And so your technique as a quarterback, your mechanics, he takes a lot of pride in his fakes and his footwork and making sure all the little details are all in alignment to be able to make him an accurate thrower. But his decision making has been outstanding in this system this year. I think he just has a lot of confidence in his guys around him.
Brief career, but the #1 passing efficiency Minnesota history. And 3rd and 5, steps up, and he's going to deliver a downfield shot to Bateman, who could not come up with it. He wanted another flag, didn't get it. That time the ball did just hang up in the wind, a fraction.
Yeah, and it's a good matchup. They put him on the inside at the slot. Now he's got all that room to build up that speed, and he's going up against a safety on that fade. And I'm surprised he didn't adjust back. Again, tough conditions, but I'm surprised he didn't try to slow his body, his speed down to allow his body to get in between the ball and the defender. It's tough to reach back like that and make a play on a deep ball.
Snow globe effect as Herbers boots it and hopes for a favorable roll. Doesn't get it, and they down at the 18-yard line. 6:27 before halftime. Badgers go back to work, down by 4. Get the bareback, answer the athletic trivia question. Your guess was Oregon State.
Yeah, I just threw that one out.
Maybe Cal. I guess he gave it away. It's not a Big Ten team, right, Bear?
It is not a Big Ten team. The answer to today's athletic trivia question is indeed Cal, who last played in the Rose Bowl in 1959 and lost to a team both of these two fan bases admire, the Iowa Hawkeyes that year.
I couldn't remember a Cal game. That's before I was born.
Yeah.
Right before you were born.
So you remember that Oregon State game, though, right?
Well, it was Terry Baker, I think, that beef down there, right? Badgers take over here. And they fake it to Taylor. Cone rolls out, and they flip it in the flat there. Matt Stocky, or Mason Stocky, the fullback, This is his third catch of the season.
Again, it's a little thing, but I love the call. Getting Stoke out into the right flat on a 1st and 10. Play action, moves the sticks, gets the drive started. And I think the most important thing is it makes that defense, especially the edge players, have to respect the potential of that call being made, and it backs them off a bit to free up Jonathan Taylor and Garrett Groshek to be able to run the ball.
That's when you get a guy like Stocky a chance to catch the ball. He does a lot of the dirty work as a fullback. And a long throw and a laying out. All of a sudden, he's a receiving weapon. Big fella went out there, made a hands catch in the snow.
That's a heck of a play by a fullback / H-back. Soft corner. Cone says, I'm going to take that. Not the greatest throw as far as accuracy, but a heck of an effort to lay out.
He's saying, hey, I had 2 catches coming in. I got 2 in 2 plays. It's involved me, fellas.
Not just laying out, but just getting his kind of right shoulder underneath that ball as he went to the ground.
The ground from Menominee, Wisconsin. Second and 5. Cone looking to throw again, and he lobs it into coverage. It took a long time to get to Jack Dunn, and the play broken up by Howden.
That ball kind of floated up in the air a little bit too long and allowed the defense, Howden, to be able to get around Dunn and get a hand on the ball to be able to knock that down. Again, these conditions, the ball is wet, ball is cold, sometimes tougher for quarterbacks to be able to get a real good grip on it, but that ball looked like it floated a little bit on him.
Gophers bring in the pass rush team, fresh troops. 4 new guys on defense for this 3rd and 5. Wisconsin have been an excellent offense, 52% coming in on 3rd down. They have struggled big time today. And it's a screen, and it's a good call against the blitz, and Ferguson, the tight end, is going to pick it up, and big fella still barreling and dragging Gophers into Minnesota territory to the 45.
Yeah, as you said, Chris, they brought pressure from the outside, but you can see the middle of the linebackers, they drop. But it gives those Wisconsin linemen a chance to get downfield and just get in the way of the backers. Barry Alvarez's grandson, Jake Ferguson, show you what he can do with the ball in his hands after the catch. Heck of an athlete as he just keeps rumbling, fumbling, and stumbling for more and more yards.
They saw those pass rushers come in there, and that was a brilliant call by Joe Rudolph against the blitz. They've used the fullback a couple of times and the tight end in the passing game to push the ball into Minnesota territory. And now Cohen looking to throw again on 1st down, flips it off short. And Taylor, look out, Taylor, stiff arm, and a nice tackle made. St. Juice saved an even bigger game, but it's a 1st down.
So far, somewhat of a quiet game for Jonathan Taylor running the ball. So 1st and 10, let's try to find other ways to get him the ball, get him matched up underneath against the linebackers, playing a little zone. And because of the way he can catch and wiggle after the catch, it's just as good as being able to run the ball. Just get him in space.
Averages a couple receptions per game. You're right, a quiet 1st half is 31 yards rushing on his 9 carries. And he's got it again. And Gophers making him earn it. He uses that strength and muscles the ball to the 28.
It's a great blend of what Wisconsin needs to do today on this drive. Mixing up their formations, attacking on 1st and 10, not just being conservative, being a little bit more aggressive. We saw some nice catches by Stokey there to kind of get this drive started. Being a little more assertive. It seems like it has Minnesota bit on their heels defensively.
Taylor offset to the right. Looking to throw again on 2nd and down. And a wheel route in traffic. He's got it, and he backs in the end zone. Touchdown for Taylor, and the Badgers have the lead for the 1st time. And the superstar making an impact, Kirk, as you said, as a receiver on that drive.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to get him on track, this is the area that, in my opinion, watching him these last 3 years, he's grown the most. Like most backs do. I mean, he came in as a natural runner as a freshman and had a monster freshman and sophomore year. but he's become a better pass protector, and of course now able to go out. He's worked on his hands and has his soft hands too. But a great call by Joe Rudolph and Paul Chryst here against the blitz from Minnesota.
And Taylor, the Doak Walker Award winner, so unassuming a guy. Probably doesn't get publicity because he's so unassuming.
Chris, they brought a blitz from right here. Winfield and Hall are able to come through here. But what hurts Minnesota is a defensive end trying to stay with the running back on a wheel route. See the blitz coming to the middle? Big defensive end at 245, 250 pounds trying to stay with one of the best backs in the country. So Wisconsin, with the protection, they gave Cone just enough time. But that's a tough ask for 45, Coughlin, to stay with him. Even though he was in phase, he has no chance of coming back to that underthrown pass by Jack Cone.
He scored a lot of touchdowns in his career, Kirk. I'm not sure he's ever backpedaled into the end zone like that. Cone was sharp in the drive. He spread the ball around to fullbacks. Tight end there, Ferguson made a big catch, coupled to Taylor. 5 of 6 for 76 yards and a touchdown. So 6 passes in the 7-play touchdown drive.
Yeah, like I said, that was a vintage drive from Wisconsin. What they need to do today on the road against this Minnesota defense that's determined to stop Taylor in the running game. You got to come up with other ways to do it, and that drive they did.
Gophers scored in less than a minute their first 2 offensive plays, but Wisconsin has worked its way to a field goal lead now. Sunday NFL Countdown. The legend of Heisman winner and MVP favorite Lamar Jackson was born. Crew reveals the top Turkey Bowl players from across the country. Countdown tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. How about that? MVP favorite Lamar Jackson before the season. Not many would have imagined that.
How much fun is he right now? He's become the player that if the Ravens are playing, you're like, okay, I'm watching. I don't even care who they're playing. I'm watching. Think about the defensive coordinators he's gone up against in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Belichick included.
Yeah. Pete Carroll, Wade Phillips.
So the Gophers looking to regain the lead in the final 3 minutes. It's a high throw, a dangerous throw, almost intercepted. It was over the head of the receiver, and Caesar Williams was in the neighborhood.
Boy, Jimmy Leonard again piling up the blitz. See Bond, 56, brought his safety as well. Pearson throwing off his back foot. That ball floats. See how he's just kind of, it's like a fadeaway. Not a whole lot on that ball. He gets hit as he releases, but that went right through the hands of a defender. Fortunate that one was not picked for Minnesota.
I'll tell you, in this direction, into that wind, it's tough to backpedal, go off balance. Dangerous play. And they hand it off inside to Smith. Nothing there. It'll be 3rd and 9.
We've talked about how tough it's been for Jonathan Taylor to get it going, but Minnesota's a team that can run the ball. They have a 1,000-yard rusher themselves. They have 7 yards rushing in this game. 7. And we're about 2 minutes to go in this first half. So both teams trying to make the other have to throw the ball in these conditions.
7 rushing yards and 11 carries, Kirk. And the 1,000-yard rusher, Smith, 3 yards on 4 carries. They need 9 to keep the Badgers from getting the football back before halftime here, and a chance to add to the lead. And Smith makes a man miss, picks up the first down. That's his first big run. He's into Wisconsin territory. They really needed that. Burrell had a chance to wrap him up and couldn't.
Olsen makes a great block, 64. But they got Wisconsin out of position on 3rd down and long. You can see those linemen working in sync. They get up to the linebackers, and then the missed tackle there by Burrell frees him up to pick up valuable yards and a first down.
That is a play to remember. Minnesota, as you said, their defense not on their back foot. You give the ball back to the Badgers. Could be a bigger deficit before halftime. And play action. Morgan chased and sacked. Sanborn got him. Less heralded Badger linebacker gets into the pass rush game.
The defensive line eats up all of the linemen, and these linebackers, they are coming downhill. They blitz a lot all year, and this time 57 frees up. because of the work of those D linemen. Nobody's left there to pick up Sanborn, who's having a great year, by the way, as a sophomore. Chris Orr, Zach Bond get most of the attention, but this young sophomore is the next great one for Wisconsin. Man, they always got linebackers. This guy's the next superstar.
But that group, they have 27 sacks from the linebacker position this year. That's a huge number. Second and forever, they try a bubble screen to Ottman-Bell, and he's able to get back to the 44 and set up a third and 15 or so.
57 again, flying around, making a play there on that screen. Shows you he can do a lot of different things. In the middle, feels it, eyes out, got to get around those linemen. He does, makes the play right there. So he is a guy that because of the way he blitzes, defends the run, and is athletic enough to play in space. He's special.
Third and 15, so they're in no hurry here. They don't spend one of their 2 timeouts. Don't want to give Wisconsin much time to work with. They pick up the blitz. Downfield shot up, and Bell had it broken up. Again, the ball floating, and Sumar Melvin, the true freshman, pressed into duty today with Wild Goose out, made the play.
He was fortunate that Minnesota, like you said, Chris, they let the clock work down, and then they decide to take a shot. Melvin actually never seized the ball. It's fortunate that Minnesota and Ottman-Bell unable to hold on to that.
How about a freshman, though? You're deep in the depth chart. You played 2 games all year. You're thinking you're going to redshirt for sure. Now you got Wild Goose goes out, and you're covering these Minnesota receivers in a rivalry game, division title on the line.
Oh, by the way, left on an island.
Yeah.
It's not like you got safety over the top helping you out.
And the clock ticking down to 10 seconds in the half as the punt rolls dead. Kevin, Jonathan, Mark, the Capital One halftime approach, just a few seconds away now. Review that Ohio State Michigan game. Another beatdown. What is it? 118 points they've scored against Michigan the last couple of years.
I think
if I do the math.
Yeah, I mean, it's wow. I think Michigan, they always come in thinking that this could be the year, but Ohio State's athletic ability and quarterback play has been pretty special.
Minnesota had to rally in all 3 of their non-conference games. They were behind in the 4th quarter, came back to win, but when trailing at halftime, actually not gotten a victory under PJ Fleck. 0-13, they'll have to reverse that strong trend if they're going to keep the axe and head to Indy, because the Badgers have methodically worked their way to a 3-point lead at the break. And Minnesota, after that lightning strike early, touchdown to Bateman, really held in check. Just 128 total yards for this explosive offense. Halftime in Minneapolis. Kevin, Jonathan, and Mark Sanchez with a halftime report coming up after these messages.
You're watching the Jiffy Lube Rivalry Series.
I wanna introduce you to my kinfolk, to my old friends, to the house in the pines where the road is. Take you to my hometown.
Morgan, he'll loft it downfield. Bateman's got it, and the Gophers strike quickly. Taylor backs in the end zone, and the Badgers have the lead for the first time. Set for the second half in snowy Minneapolis. ESPN College Football presented by TrackPhone. And this presentation of the Big Ten on ABC, part of Jiffy Lube Rivalry Series, the most played rivalry in college football. Badgers fell behind 7-0. Morgan to Bateman, the second play, Kirk. But after that, just 73 yards total offense from Minnesota in the last 23 plays, and the Badgers methodically built the lead 10-7.
I think what's happened is Minnesota became one-dimensional. They could not run the football, and it put Tanner Morgan into an obvious passing situation. I think Wisconsin's defensive line deserves a lot of credit for the way they have played. But, of course, as we know, it's all about in-game adjustments, halftime adjustments on both sides of the ball. And I'm interested to see how Minnesota tries to attack. This is an offense that's been very, very tough for many people to slow down because of the balance and the way they play that RPA game. Wisconsin will have the win in this 3rd quarter, and then the Gophers will get it in that 4th quarter to close the game out.
All 17 points in the first half scored right to left on your screen with the wind at the back of the offense. No shortage of motivation or inspiration for this Minnesota team. The toughest, bravest dude we've ever heard of. Casey O'Brien, 4-time cancer battler, off surgery this week, is with Maria.
That's right, Chris. Casey had surgery on Wednesday, and against the doctor's orders, he's come here. He's been on the sideline as the honorary captain, had surgery, 2 broken ribs as he stands here with me today. But why was it so important for you to make sure that you were at this game, Casey?
I wanted this team in this state to see me and know that I'm okay and know that I'm going to be just fine.
Coach talks so much about how you're an inspiration to this team. Tell me how the love that they've shown you has, in fact, impacted you as well.
Oh, I can't say enough. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my teammates and the guys who come to visit me and see me every time that I'm down. So those guys mean the world to me, and I wanted them to see me before the game and know that I'm with them.
I got to tell you, it seems like you're always up. Even before your surgery, you were texting your coach. He showed us a picture of you in the weight room the morning of an afternoon surgery.
Yeah.
Explain to me how you end up making sure that you get pumped before you go to your surgery.
Well, I had a 1:30 surgery, and I didn't want to sit around all day. So I figured I'd go get a workout in and make sure I was pretty big going into surgery. So that was my plan.
You know, we've all seen you embracing PJ Fleck. We saw the tears that were flowing as you were able to hold for your first kick. What does that coach mean to you?
He means the world to me. He's my coach, but he's also one of my best friends. First thing I did when I came out on the field was I went and found Coach Fleck. So he means the world to me.
And I think you mean the world to this Minnesota fan base. I saw a flag flying for you. We row with Casey. So tell me what you need to see from your Minnesota Gophers now that they have the ball back right now.
We need to score a few more points and we'll be fine. I got all the confidence in my guys.
We've got confidence in you, Casey, and we are certainly motivated by the way that you've battled through your cancer. And Chris, he's certainly motivating me here and this entire Minnesota nation.
Oh, Maria, thank you. You just feel stronger for his example. He's smiling, but he's in a lot of pain, and as he said, defying doctor's orders. He's been defying doctor's orders his whole life. Saw Johnson make a catch. They moved the sticks, and now again, that's Demetrius Douglas at midfield. These receivers are not running free, Kirk. They're having to hang on despite hits.
Yeah, obviously he is an inspiration with his approach and his battle, but this is a great rush by Vaughn at the top. Watch Tanner Morgan. He's got to get rid of that. Close to maybe being a flag when Vaughn went down low like that, but he does get the ball off, to his credit, and able to execute to come up with that first down.
And Tanner Morgan, he took that shot. Doesn't look 100%. He's kind of gritting his teeth playing through this. They feed Smith, as you said, one-dimensional, just have not had any success at all on the ground today.
And I think, again, I said in the first half, both these defenses, you can see you get out low, you get hit low. We saw Justin Fields take a shot today in the Ohio State-Michigan game, went out for a few plays and ended up coming back, but you can tell he's not at 100% after that hit by Bond, the defensive end. But as I said, both these defenses are saying, in these conditions, we're going to make these quarterbacks, as good as these receivers are, we're going to try to sell out against the run game and try to see if our pass rush can affect the timing between Morgan and Bateman and Tyler Johnson and company.
Yeah, tough to loft the ball downfield this direction. It's going to be precise short routes. And on cue, they take a downfield shot. It's incomplete. Tight coverage there on Johnson by Caesar Williams. He's played a good ball game.
Yeah, he's definitely tight with his coverage. Does not locate the ball, and the ball is thrown very, very well. I mean, that's an accurate throw, but a tough catch to make. I thought Tyler Johnson, just because he typically can come up with a catch like that, might come down with it. Tanner Morgan gave him a chance, although the tight coverage in phase there by Caesar Williams.
And PJ Fleck, who played receiver in college and briefly with the 49ers, and of course coached receivers, he put it on his guys. He said they got to be stronger, go up and get the ball.
That's an example of that right there. A snow globe now.
3 in the play clock, 3rd and 10. They'll try to run for it, and nothing doing. Cut down by Reggie Pearson, and that Badger defense forces a punt.
Yeah, they're all working as a team. The defensive line's eating up those offensive linemen. The linebackers are getting downhill, and if they get to the outside of those backers, there's the safeties to clean it up. 25 Burrell on that one side, and then Pearson 2 on the other, just selling out against this run game of the Gophers.
I'll take this over SLEET, Kirk. We got the nice big flakes blowing around up here.
This is sweet. I love this.
Rivers midfield takes a line drive. There's no returner back there, but it's fielded on the fly very nicely by Howard. And so Wisconsin will begin inside their 10 with the snow flying in Minneapolis. Pacific Life game summary. It was Bateman picking on a freshman corner who was placing an injured starter just on the second play of the game. Nice throw by Morgan, and boy, this place was jumping. The Gopher defense was flying around, but then Kirk, some nice adjustments by the Badger offense, and they got it going.
They got it going by starting to throw the football. Had a great drive near the end of the first half where they mixed it, the run and the pass a little bit more, and they were able to get Jonathan Taylor involved in the pass game, and that's where they were able to put together their only touchdown drive.
Taylor with more receiving yards than rushing yards, and now Cone, winded his back, going to loft it downfield, and navigating his way is Cephas. He's got it near the 45.
How about the confidence in Cone, backed up near his own goal line, stutter and go by Cephas, who's a talented wide receiver. Got away with a little push there against St. Jude's, who's a taller corner at 6'3". But I love the confidence by Joe Rudolph and Paul Christ. First possession of the second half, the snow's picked up, wind at his back. What the heck? Take a chance one-on-one and let your best receiver go up and make a play on the ball.
Quarterback grew up in Long Island, not fazed by these conditions. We'll just chuck it deep. Who cares about the snow globe that is really gaining momentum here? Taylor running left behind that big offensive line. He leans for 7.
Yeah, and when you get the passing game going at the end of the first half, just enough of it to make the linebackers have to respect it. Then you throw. You're not afraid to take a shot one-on-one because they're crowding the line of scrimmage. Now they back off a little bit. Now they're a little hesitant, and just a slight hesitation. Now those linemen pulling around. Now Taylor can get on track. Now you start to get positive yards on your 1st and 10 running the football.
Taylor running right this time. Tries to hurdle a tackler. That didn't work all that well, but he's got first down yardage to the 47. The temperature dropped just cold enough to get that sleet out of here, and the snow really beginning to come down. Wind is blowing east to west, which is how this stadium is oriented. Could mess up with some travel plans in a very busy holiday weekend. Looking at a few members of the crew are nodding their heads. Groshek in for Taylor. Cone goes back, takes a downfield shot. Cephas has got it! And Wisconsin stretches the lead in this blizzard. 2 beautiful deep throws and catches by Cephas. 47 yards on the touchdown.
Well, that is a great call on 1st and 10. He's on the inside. He works down the middle of the field. And again, showing confidence in Cone. That's a linebacker trying to stay with him. It's a mismatch. There's no way Barber can stay with him at 240 pounds, but they've been moving Cephas around from the outside, this time back to the inside to be able to get him down the middle of that defense where the safeties are split and the linebacker just can't stay with him.
Hence makes it a 10-point lead. The receiver from Macon, Georgia's got a special chemistry with the quarterback. Cone, 78 yards passing in that drive. It's a 10-point deficit for the Gophers now. "17 straight points for the Badgers. Biggest moments of the game brought to you by the Samsung QLED. This was the second Minnesota play. Bateman on the big strike. And then Taylor, before halftime, backs his way in. And how about the 2 plays to Cephas on that last touchdown drive?
I was just saying there at the break, great in-game adjustments by this offensive staff. Paul Christ, an offensive-minded head coach, did a great job there putting together an attack with Joe Rudolph, where they threw the ball on 1st and 10. And not only that, with the wind at their back, took shots downfield and to their best guy, Quintez Cephas.
It's kind of penguin weather. Suit there.
Goggles, whatever it takes, right?
Minnesota has overcome a lot, defied long odds and expectations to get here. Now they're going to have to really dig deep. Wisconsin has it going on both sides of the ball, and the Gophers offense has struggled, and they're still working into the wind of the 3rd quarter. Smith, and he's knocked down short of the 20. Here's the drive chart again. They got a 3 and out. They got the ball at midfield, and in 2 plays they were in the end zone. And look what's happened since then.
You're right. This game started fast for Minnesota before you could even settle in. They were up 7, and then that second possession they had the ball in plus territory, decided to punt it away. But since then, we've not been able to see PJ Fleck's offense get into sync at all. And they might have to take a page out of Paul Christ's book and try to throw to eventually go back to the running game that continues to be a problem for them. They've not been able to run against this Badger front the entire night.
Play action, and Morgan looking downfield. Bateman's got a catch. There's a spin move. Still alive, and he'll be tracked down, but a much-needed explosive play to get the drive going to the 39.
You got 8 guys at the line of scrimmage against the run game, and you got one-on-one. Guys got to win. You got to make a play. Ball wasn't perfectly thrown, but you can see the catch radius by Bateman to go up and make a play. And what you love is after the catch, he puts his foot in the ground, and he's trying to get more yards.
6'2", as you said, with long arms.
Those safeties are going to come downhill. You got to throw it.
Tunnel screen. Ottman-Bell cut down after just a 2-yard gain there. Burrell, the safety, got him.
Now, this defense last year, you and I called a game when they went up to Ann Arbor, and they struggled. They struggled most of last year, but the reason was they had a lot of injuries. Jimmy Leonard, the defensive coordinator, did everything that he could. He's playing a lot of young faces, especially the second half of the season. They got through that season. The result is now they've got a lot of guys that got game reps a year ago, and now it's helping this 2019 defense play much better than where they were a year ago.
And playing much better today than they have in recent
last 3 weeks.
Abraham breaks free in the secondary. And just like that, the Gophers are threatening. That's the kind of run they've been giving up a lot of in the last 5 games.
Well, a good block here by 60 Schmitz. Watch him get around and get to that next level. He's going to help kind of a combination block, kind of seal that edge there with against 93 hand, and then you can see these backs talk all day about what Jonathan Taylor can do, but they've got 3 backs that can make people miss in the open field, with one of the few times we've seen them out with room to run.
Abraham, a very good back, averages more than 4 yards after contact. You saw more there. Exactly the response that the Gophers needed. And now Morgan lofting for the end zone, but breaking off the route. Well, that's Tyler Johnson.
And so often when he goes to that look, that action, where he puts the ball into the belly of the back, they go to that quick slant that's usually associated with it. They're trying that time to make Wisconsin jump that and then go to a slant and go, but a little miscommunication. Tanner Morgan had to just throw that ball away.
Nobody has scored a point yet going this direction into the wind.
There's Tyler Johnson matched up against a safety right there.
Morgan looking in that direction, off the fingertips. And incomplete. That was Douglas who couldn't come up with a high throw. Morgan throws the ball high a lot. His receivers are great at going up and getting those high passes.
Yeah, they have been. And you can see that Wisconsin can't get to him, so they're just trying to get their arms up. And I think that has something to do with the way the ball right now is sailing a little bit. He's just trying to find that throwing lane. See how he has to go over top of them.
Came out wobbly, didn't it?
Yeah. In order to go over top of Orr that time, the ball got up and over Orr, but also made it tougher on the receiver to make the play.
So on 3rd and 10, crucial play. Fleck will spend a timeout. Take it with him.
It's almost like holding one of your children, especially when we hadn't had it for 15 years.
One of the biggest things is making sure that each and every single time you play for Paul Bunyan's Axe, you come off with it.
His 129th meeting between these schools. This is a crucial series. PJ Fleck spending one of his precious timeouts to talk about this 3rd and 10 play. This is very dicey field goal position for his team, down 10. I think he's likely thinking about a 2-play sequence, especially if they can gain yardage on 3rd down. and they run the ball. And Ibrahim, who really never gets stopped behind the line, gains just 2, Kirk, so it's 4th and 8.
He's getting caught behind the line because of the way that defensive line is pushing the Minnesota offensive line around right now.
They are going to bring out Michael Lance, the field goal kicker. He's made a 37-yarder. That's his long this year, so this is going to exceed that by a yard. Doesn't really try field goals beyond 40. Did make one from 50 in warm-up, but into a wind. And the snow for 38 yards to cut the lead to 7. And he drives it through. So a 61-yard drive stalls, but the Gophers end that 17-point run by Wisconsin. 1-score game now, midway in the 3rd quarter. If they got more yards there on that 3rd down play, they would have thought about going forward on 4th down, but at least the Gopher offense is able to reestablish something. It's been a while.
Yeah, they stopped the bleeding there with the field goal, but man, right now that Minnesota defense, they got to come up with some answers on their own. You know, one of the trademarks of this defense this year, probably the area that maybe they've improved the most, is coming up with crucial stops and being able to get the ball back to Tanner Morgan. Well, this is it. I mean, this is game on the line. Starting to see Wisconsin make some great adjustments, giving the ball to their quarterback, Jack Cohn. He's making great throws, so we'll see what Minnesota can do defensively right now.
Yeah, you love the boldness of the play calling by the Wisconsin Brain Trust. Joe Rudo, you mentioned Paul Christ, very heavily involved in the offense, but trusting Jack Cohn, not just to make throws, but downfield throws when the snow was blowing around. And rewarding that trust. Big catches by Cephas on that last touchdown drive. Nobody's gone home here. Sellout crowd, very tough ticket. Big Ten West on the line, as well as that precious axe. Border states, a whole bunch of dudes from Minnesota, gets a whole bunch of guys from Wisconsin, which just heightens the intensity of this Big Ten rivalry. And the kickoff taken, and it's a reverse. Cruikshank hands it off, a little trickery, and the Badgers get a big return. And Guerrero is going to get down into Minnesota territory, and that reclaims momentum very quickly.
Good speed there and just set up perfectly. You think Cruikshank with his speed would be the guy that you have to keep an eye on, but boy, look at the entire Minnesota defense on the left side on the coverage team. There's nobody left there to be able to slow down the Badgers from that huge return.
And Guerrero takes the ball all the way inside the 40-yard line.
Look at what the Badgers have done. If you're just tuning in or flipping around near the end of the first half, they got things going. Finally, they started to get their main guy, Jonathan Taylor, the football. Instead of running, they were able to throw the ball to him. He shows where he's really improved. But I think that's where this offense got going. And then they started this only drive they've had in the second half. Backed up near their own goal line. They take a shot downfield, one-on-one to Cephas. Move them to the inside a couple plays later and find the safeties that were split. Gets behind the linebacker and an easy throw and touchdown. But an aggressive mindset from the Badgers here the last few times they've had the ball.
How about the little trickery in the kickoff return? Just when Minnesota had this place revved up and claimed some momentum, Badgers beginning at the plus 39. And Taylor is sort of overdue to bust a run, isn't he? It's 50 yards in his 13 attempts so far. Cohen looking to throw on first down, flips it short. And catch made underneath by Stokey, who's become a big part of the offense. More catches today than he had coming in.
Well, kind of a condensed formation, but they get 5 receivers out, again, on 1st and 10. Plenty of time to be able to throw it. Nice job by Cohn reading the coverage and eventually finding Stokey underneath that zone for another first down. Totally different approach right now for Wisconsin and how they're attacking offensively.
End around. Pryor has space. He's got the corner, and the Badgers touchdown answers quickly. Not being stubborn, Kirk. Flexibility in the play calling involving a whole bunch of guys. And it has been a masterclass for the Badger offense.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch when you see teams come in with a plan and they get within the game. They realize they got to kind of alter their approach, and Wisconsin has been able to do that not just at halftime. It started at the end of the first half. Went into halftime, realized where they think they might be able to have a chance to be able to make plays because of the way Minnesota is just selling out against the run game. And they've been able to do that in the pass game, and in this case, a nice jet sweep.
How about the 2 quick touchdown drives? A 4-play drive and then a 2-play touchdown drive.
Look at the defense. They're still trying to take Taylor away in the inside run game, and there's no one for these linemen. Urban's downfield. He's actually looking for somebody to block because of the safeties and the linebackers with their eyes locked in on stopping Jonathan Taylor. We said in the opening, it's going to open up other areas within this offense, whether it's the jet sweep, wildcat, or for Paul Chryst, the 1st and 10 play action pass.
An offense that prides itself on possessing the ball, grinding you down, has needed 6 plays after halftime to produce 2 touchdowns. And once again, the lead is double digits, but now a 14-point lead.
They have 210 yards passing and only 104 yards rushing. That's and now don't get me wrong. By the time by the time this game is done, they're probably eventually, because of this play calling, able to go back to that line, go back to Taylor in the running game, and eventually the stats will probably work themselves out. But right now, man, it's been fun to watch what they've been doing.
Get the stop, force the field goal attempt. They reverse in the kickoff return. 2 plays later in the end zone, and you show Tanner Morgan there some work to do. Curtis Wilson, the All-State bus here in Minneapolis. What's your All-State mayhem moment?
There aren't a whole lot of games today where there's been mayhem moments, so you got to look at Ohio State going up to Ann Arbor, and J.K. Dobbins, 211 yards, had a monster day, and all the talk about what they were going to do and trying to be able to get Jim Harbaugh a win. But Ryan Day gets his first win as a head coach against Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines up in Ann Arbor in dominating fashion.
Barry Alvarez, the Badger legend in the booth, said he's never seen a better Big Ten team, and he's been around
since
a long time.
He's been in the Big Ten as a coach or an athletic director. Been a lot of teams he's been around, going back, I think, started 1990, 91.
First down run goes nowhere. Reggie Pearson, the safety, and filling on Brooks. That's a big statement, and he knows that should the Badgers hold the lead, they'll be a big underdog again against Ohio State and Indy.
That was a heck of a compliment coming from Barry Alvarez. But that safety, Reggie Pearson, is continuing to get downhill, defending that run, a potential run for Minnesota.
Had to play a lot. Colin Wilder was out in the first half. Targeting against Purdue is available now, but number 2 has played big. And he's coming on the blitz. Ball is out. Catch is made by Johnson. And he's got a first down out near the 45-yard line. That's how they beat the safety blitz.
Yeah, they brought it, as you called it, Pearson. He throws right around him. Nobody's able to pick him up, but they're a man short. And on that quick slant, soft coverage, Morgan, that's his specialty. That's what he's been able to do all year. You can see Caesar Williams there in coverage, but was soft, and surprised they're so soft knowing that quick slant is coming.
So effective at getting the football out in less than 2.5 seconds. That's what they aim for. When he does that, 16 touchdowns and 1 pick. Brooks around the left side. So much of the offense, Kirk, just about how quickly can the quarterback get the ball out of his hands.
Well, especially against Wisconsin and the way they can pressure you with these linebackers. At least some positive yards there on 1st and 10 running the ball with Brooks.
The defense is struggling. It feels a little more urgent for the Minnesota offense to try to keep pace with this Badger attack. Brooks, and he shows some leg strength. He pulls some tacklers, including Big Garrett Rand, the defensive end, for a first down.
He carried Rand about 6 or 7 yards for the first down. You're right. Keep in mind, Rand's 280, 290 pounds, right there, 93. That's how many yards he carries him, and about 4 or 5 yards, enough for the first down.
Feel good for Brooks Kirk. He's had 3 seasons, all of them injury plagued. Came back last year. First game back, had a big game. Boom, knee injury, out for the rest of the year. He has sort of symbolized the perseverance of a lot of guys on this roster. Fresh set from the 46, and straight ahead run for about 3. We've seen very much of that.
They'll constantly rotate these backs, especially in the second half. They want fresh legs, and Brooks will get his carries. Rodney Smith has just checked into the game. Ibrahim also will get his opportunities. So you have 3 backs that they feel good, whether they're running the ball or asking them to come out of the backfield and catch.
Smith has struggled to make an impact play so far. Should have fresh legs. Carried it just 7 times. And he'll power ahead, running hard, fighting within 2 yards of the mark. It'll be 3rd and short.
Every yard they seem to try to get running the ball. They're going to go tempo here, but every yard they seem like they're fighting and scratching and clawing for every yard.
This is the first time they've really run tempo against the Badger defense, and they will gain enough to move the 6 to the 36.
And that was the whole point, being able to go tempo, catch them off guard, and try to help with those blocking angles up front. Like I said, the Wisconsin D-line has won the battle up front. When you turn on film and you watch Minnesota play, I even brought up to the coaches, man, it's a thing of beauty to watch Minnesota's O-line. So very synchronized. They work together well. It's a very cohesive unit, but tonight they've met their match physically against the Badgers front.
Ibrahim rotates in. His turn at tailback. Play clock at 5. And a play action fake, first down throw. It's a low throw. Johnson goes down and makes it a better throw. He might still be running.
You just know it's coming, right? They run a couple times. It's like, when's the slant coming? You know, which way is he going to go? Is he going to go to the backside or the play side? That time he threw that low, but Johnson a good job of securing that football.
What do you call it? A slant or a glance route?
He's running in.
They didn't like the slant label, did he?
I'm calling it a slant.
Everybody calls it a slant.
That's a slant.
Brooks.
Look at that. Look at that defensive line, man.
Say what, their backs they know they're up against it. They're driving hard now in this possession.
You know, they're like I said, for every 2 or 3 or 4 yards, but they're running into that D line. Most of the Wisconsin D linemen don't get a lot of attention because usually they just occupy space and free up Chris Orr and Jack Sanborn and Zach Bond, but they've been, like I said, playmakers today. Now you're going to get some one-on-one coverage across the board here against Wisconsin secondary, especially on the edges, the corner play. They may be bailing out. No, they're in tight.
And there's another slant route, and wrestled down inside the 5-yard line is Bateman, 1st and goal, Gophers.
You know, this time the ball's thrown a little bit behind him, but it allows him to turn his body right there and protect himself from the safety that's getting ready to try to dislodge the football. Ball is tipped. Good concentration by Bateman. Looked like 92 Hennessy got it, but I love the way Bateman turned his body away from the potential contact from the incoming safety to protect the football and give himself a chance to hold on.
Make a living on those slants. You know there are going to be some tough catches in traffic with the hits coming quickly. Final 30 seconds of the 3rd quarter. Ibrahim running right, knocked down inside the 5.
Jim Leonard's been slanting that D-line right back into the boundary. See that a lot around the country. And they blitz off the to the field. They'll slant the D-line to try to take away any creases or seams, and it's exactly what they did there on that first play here.
The battle for the axe in the Big Ten West. Final 15 minutes as Fleck sprints down the sideline as he does. And the Gophers threatening at the 5-yard line when the final quarter begins here in Minneapolis. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. Final quarter, Minneapolis begins with the 12th play of this Gophers drive. 2nd and goal at the 4. Smith hammered immediately. Nowhere to run. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Trying to mess with the eyes of the linebackers, but again, the D-line slanting takes his play away, or will also get in from the far left. Watch that D-line slant back into the boundary, or comes in, collapses down, not buying that jet sweep action at all. This is 4-down territory. They have 2 more plays here to punch this thing in.
Absolutely. And Morgan Loftus on a fake jump ball incomplete. Johnson was well defended again by Caesar Williams, and it's 4th and goal.
You know, it's 50-50 ball. You're going to one of your best receivers, one of the tops in the Big Ten. Put it up in the air where he can try to get separation. Williams has got a hold of the jersey, but that's so hard for an official to see in real time. Williams locates the ball, which I love to see from a corner, and then goes up. And because of that awareness, able to knock it away.
A missed interference for sure in that play, but it's 4th and goal. Morgan, similar route, incomplete, broken up, tried to get it to Johnson, and hails Caesar. Williams made the play again. Badgers defense gets a huge stop.
And that's life as a corner right there. Back-to-back plays on an island against Tyler Johnson and Tanner Morgan, who have had a monster year. Tight coverage, and actually uses his body to keep him away from being in the end zone. If he catches that, I think he's able to tackle him short of the goal line. Great coverage. Nice job by Wisconsin's defense there inside the 5-yard line.
Got away with one the play before. Made a nice play that time. Williams, one of the guys who stepped up with Rashad Wildgoose, the starting corner out. I think he grabs his shirt. I know it's a tough call for an official to see.
Yeah.
And then just great coverage here. Bang, bang.
See, I think it's great coverage in both. You and I can disagree on the first one. I thought he did a great job with his position, had his head turned around. When you get your head turned around, officials are going to let you grab a little bit. It's no big deal.
Tell that to the offense.
I'm just saying. That's the way it is.
Physical run by Stocky.
If he doesn't have his head turned around, then maybe that's a call. But it's tough for those officials.
Oh, it was great coverage, but he also grabbed his shirt.
Yeah. Happens a lot. You'd be shocked.
I'm just minding Katayab, who's laughing over, like condemning the official. That's a very, very tough thing to see.
All I know is after that stop by Wisconsin, clock is Minnesota's enemy. They need a stop, especially with this bad field position by Wisconsin. Jack Cohn is not in a hurry at all.
Exactly. Taylor runs it to the right. The last 2 drives, 4 plays and 2 plays. Now they like about a 14-play drive this season.
And this is what you wonder with the success of the adjustments of Wisconsin, the wear and tear of the emotions, not just the physically in a game like this in the 4th quarter. Just you're down 14, so much at stake. You don't have the ball. You got to keep your edge defensively right now for the Gophers.
That's a great point. Remember, Taylor just one slip tackle away from taking it the distance every time he touches it.
You let your guard down, he's going to go 85 on you.
He is overdue to bust a really long one today. He's been held to just 54 rushing yards on his 14 carries, and now a pre-snap flag.
Movement by Wisconsin.
Tonight, 7 Eastern. Heisman front runner, clear favorite Joe Burrow. Has to stay on track for that. LSU trying to stay perfect against the Aggies on ESPN at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Find a place to watch that. The Utes trying to secure their spot in the Pac-12 championship game next Friday night against Oregon, hosting the Buffaloes in Salt Lake. That's also on the primetime menu tonight. Play action, and ball is out and dropped in the flat by Taylor. A rare mistake. of the superstar. Third down.
Wisconsin sticking to their guns after that penalty on 1st and 10 pushes them back. They continue to be aggressive, which you'd think typically you'd see Wisconsin wanting to work clock, but instead they throw it out to Taylor, but he ends up dropping it to stop the clock.
Yeah, this one's 2nd and 15 now. Crowd trying to bring some energy. Give their defense a much needed boost here. Keeper. And they caught the Gophers defense napping. And you'll get back the penalty yardage +3. Cone doesn't run it often.
No, he just read the defensive end, Coughlin, who collapsed down 45, and he just able to work around him to at least give the Badgers a chance here on 3rd down. I'm not expecting Jack Cone to keep it. He doesn't run it, as you said, at all. It's the last guy they expected there on 2nd and long. I haven't really called Antoine Winfield Jr.'s name very much. He's the playmaker for this defense with 7 interceptions.
We'd love to make it 8 on this 3rd and 6 play. And it's a screen. And this is Groshek. Gets ahead of Steve. Garrett Groshek in the secondary with a convoy. Cuts it back. They'll try to chase him down. It's a huge play to the Minnesota 10.
How about the call here by Joe Rudolph on 3rd down? What do you expect? What's the tendency? Blitz. They're going to blitz you. You turn your back to them. You drop it off. There's nobody out there. Nobody expects the back Groshek to come out to the left. He's got a convoy going downfield. Almost takes it all the way to the end zone, but it was the play call with Minnesota coming after the quarterback on 3rd down. As long as he got that off, he had a huge play in front of him.
70-yard gain. A guy who averages about 8 yards a catch coming in. Longest pass play of the season for the Badgers. And now Taylor just busts it in. And Bucky pointing towards Indianapolis in the Big Ten championship game. It's a 3-touchdown cushion.
Very next play after the 70-yard screen, they go back to the right side of that offensive line, and they open it up. Doesn't take much for Taylor to find a crease. He goes between the right guard and that right tackle. You can see they get Minnesota. They just push them wherever they want to go. The linemen are taught, just take them wherever they want to go and let Taylor find that hole. He'll find that crease in the defense, and he does.
2nd touchdown for Taylor. 1 receiving, 1 rushing. Give him a total of 24 on the season. Badgers up by 21.
College football on ABC is presented by TrackPhone, the new TrackPhone wireless. Now you're in control. In part by Pacific Life, 150 years strong. Protection and retirement solutions for your future. And Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Paul Bunyan's axe took up residence in Madison for 14 years. That case sitting empty the last 12 months as a reminder to all the Wisconsin players what they lost on their home field as big favorites a year ago. They came here with a number of goals in mind, Kirk, but reclaiming that axe, certainly one of them. Been living here in Minneapolis, keeping it a case, maroon on one side, bright red on the other. It'll be down there near the goalpost at the end of the game, and Badger players will know where to find it. And they have been impressive after halftime. They've run a total, Kirk, of 12 plays, and they've scored 21 points off those 12 plays. 226 yards.
They're Badger fans right now watching this game thinking, man, where has this offense been all year? 280 yards passing.
Smith, the running back, has been contained. Tries to make a play as a returner, but cannot make the 20-yard line. Check back with Cassidy for another Iron Bowl update. Cassidy, that lead didn't last long as you were given the highlight. Bama just found the end zone again, Kirk.
I just scored another one. They're an extra point away from taking the lead.
And you see the man down. It's Ibrahim, the running back on the kickoff return team. Ohio State jumped LSU last week. They're going nowhere from that top spot after hammering Michigan again. We talked about the Bayou Bengals and the Aggies tonight on ESPN. And Utah, number 6. They would love to see Auburn knock off Alabama. That would clear the way for a potential Pac-12 champion in the playoff.
I may be on an island. I almost don't feel like it matters for me what Alabama does in that game. I think Utah, if they beat Colorado and they go on to beat Oregon and secure a Pac-12 championship, I think Utah is the team, even though you're seeing Bama at 5. And I think Oklahoma would even have a shot to go by Alabama if Utah were to stumble. I just don't think Alabama is viewed by the committee in the same way that they have been in the past, where you can just say, well, they didn't make it to the SEC championship game, but they're just better than these other teams. 2 years ago, you could say that. I don't think you can say that about this Alabama team.
Oh, I agree. The resume is not nearly as strong. They lack a signature out-of-conference win. Tua is not there. Battling hard, though, without Tagovailoa on the road in the Iron Bowl to reclaim the lead. PlayStation presented the rankings there. Is that your sense of what the committee will do, or is that how you would rank it? Jump, say, a one-loss Utah team or Oklahoma over Alabama?
Both. I think Utah.
Why wouldn't they rank Alabama behind them now, though? Why?
Because I think there was a little bit of wait and see how this team is without Tua. Tua went out in the Mississippi State game. They finished that game. They played Western Carolina, which you don't know anything when you play Western Carolina. And then I think they're evaluating how they played today. But I think the reason you jump them late is because when there's a cluster at the end, that's usually what they do is they look at conference championship and some other areas as well.
At the beginning, it didn't look like the injury to Ibrahim was going to be that serious, but now athletic trainers and doctors crowding around the running back who was on that kick return team. This Gopher offense, which has got a long way to go, now down 21. Let's take a look. Number 24 there. Collision hit up high and went down to the turf. We'll take a break as they continue to examine Ibrahim. After a lengthy examination on the field, Ibrahim able to walk off. His teammates in the Gopher offense begin 80 yards in the end zone, now down 3 touchdowns. They do have the wind in the final quarter. This Badger defense has been stout, allowing only a field goal since Minnesota's second offensive play this afternoon, the long touchdown pass to Bateman. Morgan has time, but no receiver. Now loses the football. It's on the ground. The Badgers have it, and they strengthen their grip on this Big Ten West championship game. Tyler Johnson came up with it. Garrett Rand knocked the ball loose, and that is a disastrous turnover for the Gophers.
Yeah, and these linebackers putting pressure, shooting right up through the middle. See, Rodney Smith tries to pick up Sanborn. You could just feel how unsure and unsettled Tanner Morgan was in that pocket, and then the ball gets knocked out there by Rand. And then eventually the linebacker, Tyler Johnson, jumps onto it. But I think it was, again, these active linebackers caused that, even though Rand eventually got to him. You could just see Tanner Morgan feeling the pressure. Feet were moving, unsure, and then by the time he decided to get out, he fumbles the ball.
And Taylor looking for a 3rd touchdown as the Badgers try to apply the knockout punch on this possession. Maria?
Hey, Chris. Well, you can see Wisconsin's on a mission. Actually, during the preseason where that axe is supposed to sit in Madison, they had a picture of the Minnesota Gophers celebrating in Camp Randall and a T-shirt that said, "Row the boat." Now, they took it out during the regular season, but this week it came back. And senior linebacker Chris Orr, he was hyping up his defense before the game in the locker room, saying it's time to restore order. They feel like the Big Ten West must go through Madison, and they're proving it here tonight.
Indeed, and trying to make it to a 6th appearance, Maria, in the Big Ten championship game. They've been regulars in Indy. Taylor, and he's got a 1st and goal. Yeah, Orr love talking to him this week. Love what he represents. He's played a brilliant career. You've talked a lot about him today. Guy who comes from Texas, lands in Big Ten country, and fully embraces everything this program is about, including dominance in their 3 trophy games.
He was a guy that looked like was going to play early in his career and ended up having a knee injury a few years ago in his first play against LSU, and he ended up opening the door for Ryan Conley. Ryan Conley and T.J. Edwards, he was kind of that third backer while those two were starting. Never got his job back, and he's exploded onto the scene this year.
Fullback, boom, busting into the end zone. Stocky. Now they're going to spot him short. I thought he was going to go in. All the Badgers were signaling touchdown.
Well, his momentum was taking him right to that goal line. I guess he must have come up a little bit short. I don't know. He's not used to having a chance to extend that ball to the goal line. Look at the lineman. Look at the push. I mean,
very hard to see from that angle with massive humanity whether the ball broke the plane. This may be a better look. Where did his knee go down?
Nope.
My elbow's just short.
Just short. Boys are all over it down there.
You're right. Big fella should have extended the ball, but he's not in that position very often. Taylor, his 3rd touchdown, and the Badgers punctuating and pulling away from Minnesota.
Well, now we know it's Ohio State and Wisconsin in Indianapolis next week in the Big Ten Championship, and a rematch from a game that they played earlier this year.
Yeah, 5 weeks ago in the Horseshoe, it was a rout, 38-7 for Ohio State. Wisconsin will earn the chance to get a second crack at the #1 ranked team, and they'll get that axe back. What a response on both sides of the football. It's a team that has some championship experience, much more than Minnesota, and they are showing him. Taylor has found the end zone 3 times now. Pacific Life game summary is the quarterback comparison. Jack Cohn, not the guy smiling here, but he's the guy that's had the efficient afternoon. He came in #3 in the FBS in completion percentage. Joe Burrow leads that category, and it's hard to be more efficient than he has in these tough conditions today.
Gives us a chance to really brag on Jack Cohn in the year that he's had, the leadership that he's provided for his teammates. Everybody we talked to from Madison this week, when I say, what about the strengths of him? What do you really like about him? Every person, man, this guy's a leader. Players want to play for him, plays through pain. Just his work ethic, the guys value and appreciate. So good for him having a monster game in this such a meaningful game for him and his team. This Wisconsin defense has been a big part of the story. The defensive line, of course, a lot of slanting and angling, taking away that running game. I think the D-line has had as much to do with the way their defense is played as the linebackers. The linebackers a lot of times are there to clean it up. Of course, they blitz here in the last series and eventually ran the big defensive lineman 93, frees the ball, and Tyler Johnson jumps on it before the Badgers scored their last touchdown. But a great night for Jim Leonard and the Badgers D.
A unit that has struggled. We talked about the last 5 games. They have showed up on the road in a championship environment, played huge. Morgan to Bateman, and he's able to dance out near the 40-yard line.
14 yards, another golden Gopher.
Go on the road and you get that touchdown scored on you so quickly. And as you said, your A game plan, feed Taylor, not working.
Right.
You adjust on the fly in the first half.
With the snow, with the wind. That's what really football's about, adversity and facing it and overcoming it.
They come after Morgan again, gets the ball out, and a short completion to Tyler Johnson. 4 more sacks today. Huge emphasis in the offseason with this defense. They more than doubled their total of last year. They had just 19 sacks a year ago.
Think about it. They're at 43 on the year, and they had 19 a year ago. And a lot of that had to do with, again, the injuries that they dealt with. But, you know, the linebacker play with Sanborn and Orr that have led the way in applying pressure all year, and we've seen it again tonight.
20 takeaways on the season. And Morgan again delivers high over the outstretched hand of Ottman Bell. 3rd and 4 coming up. He took a big shot and is slow to get up. with that secondary, which is shorthanded. We talked about Caesar Williams stepping up. Reggie Pearson, the top tackler for the Badgers. The safeties played an excellent ball game too.
Yep. Just been a group effort. You know, the defense, go back to the first half of the season. They played 6 games. They had 4 shutouts. I don't care who you're playing. I mean, you're walking around with some confidence. And then they had the Illinois setback. They had the Ohio State debacle, and especially late in that game. And since then, you know, they haven't played perfect ball, but they've been able to win games. This reminds me of the way they were playing early in the year.
Morgan backpedals and delivers. Catch made by Seth Green. Usually a Wildcat quarterback, rarely used as a receiver. He's got the catch into Wisconsin territory. They got as high as number 6 with those 4 shutouts in the 6 games before that stunner, the look-ahead game to Illinois, and then they got humbled by Ohio State.
You know, that game was 10-7 in the 3rd quarter, and then Ohio State it was an avalanche, which they've done to almost everybody they have played in that 4th quarter. They just piled it on. But in the 3rd quarter, it's a pretty low-scoring game.
Morgan lofts it. There was traffic there, flags out as Bateman was just grabbed by Faion Hicks.
Yeah, Bateman was going right by Hicks, and he does what most college corners do when they're about to give up a big one, just grab onto him and give up the yards instead of giving up a touchdown.
Holding. Defense number 1. 10 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
See him grab onto that arm.
Well, you were talking about the Big Ten championship game, Kirk. The tough position Wisconsin's in. They'll share the West title with Minnesota. They'll, of course, win the tiebreaker. But if they don't beat Ohio State, risk not only not winning the conference, but not going to the Rose Bowl. If Ohio State goes to the playoff, it's the highest-ranked Big Ten team after the Buckeyes, which Penn State is sitting ahead of Wisconsin in the rankings at the moment at 10.
Be interesting to see where Wisconsin goes this week.
Exactly. And a high throw over a couple of receivers' heads and off the hands of Williams. That was funky.
You know, Penn State didn't look great. You know, Wisconsin more than likely have a shot to go ahead of them. They just beat number 8 on the road. Penn State came in here and lost. So I mean, and the committee starts over. It's not like the AP poll where they're like, well, we had them 12 last week. They start from scratch every week.
They do, but I think that the margin perhaps in Indy, if Ohio State does win and they win huge, that would be important for Wisconsin.
Yeah, it would be.
They're going to need, I think, even if they don't win, to hang with them. And Bateman, again, the intended receiver, Hicks.
By the way, Wisconsin's trying to win the game. You're sitting.
Oh, no.
We're talking about.
I am.
Just keep it close, Badgers. That's
well, listen. All right, here you go. You're right. It was close for a while. Ohio State hit the gas and pulled away. It's tough to stay with Ohio. I don't care who you are. It's tough to stay with Ohio State these days. So they're going to be a solid favorite in that game.
Well,
and of course, Wisconsin, if they play well like this, of course they got a chance.
Yeah. But if it doesn't go their way, I think what you're bringing up, the point you're bringing up is interesting. It's something that the committee will have to think about. They'll have to take all the games into consideration, not just the Big Ten championship.
Morgan steps up and delivers a 3rd and 10 incompletion. Try to get the ball to Douglas. It's 4th down.
You got to be careful penalizing a team for going to play an extra game. You know, I think if you go,
I'm not penalizing anybody.
Not you. I'm saying the committee has to be careful of penalizing a team for going to play in a Big Ten championship game when the other team isn't playing in a game. So it'd be good. Everybody gets caught up in the 4 teams, but there are always other aspects that are just as important.
Yeah, and you bring up the common opponent. Penn State did lose here. Penn State played Ohio State pretty competitively. That would be their selling point, I guess, if Wisconsin can't. But Badgers don't care about that. They're going to go to Indianapolis. They came in here. They beat a top 10 team emphatically. A tremendous performance with a lot on the line. They're going to get the Axe back. It's going to be a big party in Madison. And then they'll worry about the challenge of Ohio State.
Yeah, and I think another part of this is when Ohio State, the way they played against Michigan today, the way they played for 12 weeks, them and LSU. What if Ohio State lost a close game? You wonder if the committee would be willing to move them out of the 4. I don't think they can, based on 12 games of dominance and the way they played. You hate to say a Big Ten championship game, it doesn't mean anything for Ohio State. Of course it does, but you can make a strong case for them, even if they stumble there, that they could still end up being one of the top 4 teams and still qualify and go into the playoff.
Same thing for LSU, of course, if they take care of business tonight against Texas A&M on ESPN and
yes,
head to Atlanta undefeated. Should they stumble against Georgia, they would make the same case that Ohio State makes. The body of work for the season is enough.
That's right. The resume in their case.
We've not seen that yet happen in the playoff era. Morgan, he's across the line as he fires a 4th down completion. Did he stay on his side of the line of scrimmage? It looked like he had come across the line. Douglas made the catch.
Part of his body is definitely across the line. I don't know if his entire body is across. If there's any part of his body at all that's behind the line, then he's okay.
He did a great job with awareness. I think maybe his right wrist might have just been behind the line as he threw it. They're going to stop and take a look.
We're going to get Davey Kataya in here to see what he thinks of that. We
The
haven't talked to him all
previous
night.
play is under further review.
You're all over the rule there. You got to be all the way across. Maybe he just brought the arm behind. Let's bring in Dave Kataya just because he traveled here from California in the snow. We got to get him a rep, Dave.
This is snow. Okay, I'm from California. I don't know. Bottom line is what Kirk and Chris, what you're saying is absolutely correct. Under NCAA rules, his entire body, everything, the ball has to be completely across the line in order for this to be a foul.
So at any point, it's all about when he releases the ball. Is that where it's looked at?
It's all about where the ball is thrown, where he is when he throws the ball. Everything, the ball, everything has to be across the line. And looking at this, does he look like he's across the line? Yes, but let's see. Here you got to step over now. He's still got the ball. Okay, maybe a second step, but the ball is still not across.
It's hard to see. Both feet are across the line. Where is the ball? From there, you can make a very good case that the call on the field will stand, that he was legal.
The ruling on the field of a completed catch stands. First down.
And I agree with that because of that ball being behind the line. Very good statement, Chris. You're absolutely right on that one.
Well, he showed, I don't know if he just got lucky or if he showed that kind of awareness because he was running down the line.
Luck. Yeah, I mean, it's that close. I think he caught a break there.
Minnesota threatening now. Haven't scored a touchdown since their second offensive play. And ball batted down at the line. Nice play. Talked about how good this secondary has played. Burrell and Pearson at safety.
Burrell's saying, okay, you've been throwing this quick slant, even though you don't want to call it a quick slant. You've been throwing this quick slant all night, and so I'm going to just sit in that throwing lane, and I'm going to try to come up with at least a chance to get my hand up there to knock it down. By the way, if he doesn't knock that down, the other safety, Reggie Pearson, was right there to come up with the interception.
Yeah, the next man up philosophy has been embodied by this Badger defense. Secondary has played well, even without Wild Goose. Morgan, another end zone shot, touchdown. Catch made by Tyler Johnson. So each of the 1,000-yard receivers has a touchdown. But barring a miraculous escape, a couple onside kicks and 2 more touchdowns, too little.
Tanner Morgan moves the safety Burrell over just enough. Watch him move 25 in the middle of the field. He moves him right there, and then he's able to come back and find that seam between the corner, Caesar Williams, and the safety, Eric Burrell.
Final home game from Tyler Johnson. Terrific career. A senior from the north side of Minneapolis.
Attempt is good. Minnesota 17, Wisconsin 38.
21-point margin. NFL Primetime, Chris Berman, Tom Jackson. Tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN Plus. Available to stream each week. Anytime you want to watch it, you can on any device you choose. Just download the ESPN app or ESPNplus.com. Well, this Thanksgiving weekend, so many of the crew having to leave their families, come together and be with their TV families in the setup, and then you put together conditions like this, Arctic conditions. Fellas, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bunch of tough men and women.
Thank everybody for all their hard work. Like you said, it's a big sacrifice for everybody it works in this profession. We all love what we do, but when you're away from your family, it's tough, and this crew works as hard as anybody. So thank you to all you, the men and women that work on this team.
Milestone for Johnson on that touchdown, the 200th career reception. He also ties Ron Johnson's career touchdown reception record here at Minnesota with number 31 as they set up for the onside kick. Walker, the kicker, delivers it, but the recovery made by the Badgers. This is your second Axe game. Like, you got to go way back.
Yeah, my first game I ever called in my life.
Middle 90s?
1995.
Here we go.
More importantly, this game tonight. This is their rivalry. See Bevel avoid the rush, throws it downfield. Good job of leading your receiver. Crawford Jordan, he could not stay with Tony Simmons man-to-man.
The Paul Bunyan Axe. Where is it?
It's down here.
It's down here. They got it.
You were here in that moment when the Badgers get a chance to chop the axe down?
The old dome here. It's the first time that I saw that game, obviously, in person, learned to appreciate the axe and how important it is. Darrell Bevel came over and grabbed it and started to chop down the goalpost. I think he started a new tradition with that, by the way, that year.
Oh, how old were you there in that one?
25.
You haven't aged at all, brother. Good to bookend that with your second Axe game.
Yeah.
This is way better than the Metrodome, right? I don't care.
Yeah, I love this.
Flying.
I love the elements.
Taylor did get the 1,700 mark for the third consecutive season, joining Herschel Walker. Apparently not going to get the 144 that he needed to get to 6,000 career yards. He can work on that in Indianapolis. 76 today for JT. As they let the backups, Nakia Watson, have another carry. Well, after Arizona State, that rivalry game, Sports Center. Stan Brent and Neil Everett, all the highlights of rivalry week. At the end, it's going to detail which teams had their playoff chances improved today. NBA highlights as well. That's after the Sun Devils, and we saw knock off Oregon last week against Arizona. Underrated hate rivalry out in the Pac-12, that one.
Yeah. Not talked about very much, but it is a little chippy, especially after last week's game at Tempe.
Off on a 3rd and 5, and the short game by Watson sets up 4th down. Badgers content to just grind out the clock. They can begin to plot their charge to the Axe and what they're going to do to pay back the Gophers for parading that around Camp Randall. Taylor really didn't have the monster game that he hoped for. Well, backs into the end zone on this reception here.
A lot of it had to do with the game plan of Jim Rossi, the defensive coordinator. They were determined to make Wisconsin throw, and Wisconsin, to their credit, proved that they could. Jack Cohn ended up having a great night, and Taylor ended up being involved not just in running the ball, but catching the ball out of the backfield.
And JT was recalling a game in snowy conditions against Nebraska when Melvin Gordon, his predecessor, one of the guys that he looked up to as a young player, ran for 400 yards against the Cornhuskers in the snow. He was hoping to have kind of a monster game, but a very unselfish team guy. He'll respect the fact that he was just a part of things tonight, not the main show. Lottie punts, hasn't had to do so very often since that offense has gotten going, and that executed perfectly. The ball spins back to the 5-yard line. There's that flashback. Melvin Gordon. It would be snowing later on in that game, and that was one of the low points for the Nebraska defense, which, by the way, continues to struggle. Hey, the snow got going. 408 and 4 for Melvin.
408 yards in one game. I remember that.
Yeah, so did the Nebraska faithful.
Yeah. He had a big game against them in another game besides that one.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Taylor doesn't get more credit. It's kind of like a system quarterback where every guy that comes in puts up big numbers. It's not right, but I think some of his great accomplishments, the milestones he's reached, the great career that he's had, devalued unfairly by people because they assume, that offensive line, every back that they get runs for 2,000 yards. Morgan being chased to the end zone and delivers a sideline throw. And it's broken up again.
I mean, they've had great backs for going all the way back to Ron Dane. Even before that, they had some great backs. I mean, it's been a staple of this program that Barry Alvarez established, in my opinion, with the offensive line. But I think Jonathan Taylor, not just because he's the newest product to come out, but he's got it all. He's got everything that you're looking for, and not to mention humility, a willingness to continue to work despite all the accolades. I mean, he was a Doak Walker winner last year, and yet I think he worked even harder this offseason to continue to prove himself. And if he keeps that edge to him, he's going to have obviously a great career in the next level.
Obviously works on power and speed. Worked hard on flexibility in the offseason. Morgan delivers a shot to Bateman, who will step out of bounds. Not just the hits. Running backs get twisted in order to get the pile. And he said the hot yoga that he was doing helped his flexibility, helped him stay injury-free. He's a Capital One line to gain. A big play early. He's been contained pretty well since then.
Last thing on Jonathan Taylor, the durability, averaging 23 carries and 153 yards.
There's Bateman on a downfield shot, incomplete. And he talks about watching these other guys. He wants to watch Travis Etienne and see what he's done, and Chuba Hubbard. And say, JT, you're one of those guys too. I mean, just the idea that he's excited to watch other running backs when he is one of the guys in the sport.
He's been for the last 3 years, been one of the guys. I just think he has an appreciation for the position and the other guys that do it out there. And how about he and J.K. Dobbins going head-to-head in the Big Ten Championship? Two of the greatest backs, if not the top two backs in the country, going head-to-head.
In another year of the quarterback, it's been tough for running backs to get recognition. Both those guys deserve the spotlight. And Morgan will be sacked again. It's a fifth for this Badger defense. And getting in on the act there is Vaughn, his second of the day.
Very fitting. Zach Vaughn up at the top. Goes outside and ducks underneath. Even being held, it's not enough to Andrews to keep him out of that backfield.
And they come after him again, and a low throw. Catch made. Johnson went down nicely to get it right near the marker. They'll spot it short, so it's fourth and about half yard.
I was surprised he got the ball off. Oh, that is a great effort by Johnson. Ball looked like it was headed to the turf, but he squeezed his arms together to prevent it from hitting the ground. A big reception to give him a chance here on fourth.
And going nowhere is Smith. The timing was kind of messed off as he and Morgan collided in the backfield, and Bond still in there making plays.
Just a monster. Again, we've talked over and over about he and Chris Orr and what they've meant to this defense. You know, Zach Bond was a high school quarterback. You talk about a guy that's developed, redshirted, way back in 2015. Just an example in this era of players being in a rush to play right away. Here's a guy that's self-made in the weight room and developing into this year. He's played all last year, but this is the year that he's really enjoyed, where he's been in that backfield of almost every opponent that they've played.
And from Brown Deer, Wisconsin, one of the many great names of small towns in that state. Bond, Orr, and your guy Sanborn, the sophomore, you think is a future star, really played well today. A total team effort for this Badger defense. Knocked down there. Nice gain. A flag is out. 7 Eastern time, 6 Central. Talked about Burrow and LSU against the Aggies. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. Frederick Shaw's run will be negated by a flag. '29th edition. Badgers are going to continue their dominance. They have 3 trophy games, and they have dominated them. Iowa, Minnesota, and Nebraska. It's going to be 22 out of the last 24 games for rivalry trophies won by Wisconsin. Shaw again plows forward.
It's a program that even this year when we were getting ready for the season to start, most people talked about Nebraska in the West. For whatever reason, Paul Chryst is his 5th year as the head coach at Wisconsin, the third time that the Badgers are headed to Indianapolis in the Big Ten Championship. At some point, people are going to start to realize this brand and give them the credit that they deserve, because they have been a top 10 type of program for many, many years.
Well, the only teams in the span since 2010 that have had better winning percentages: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, and Oklahoma. The difference is those teams have won championships, or in the case of Oklahoma and Georgia, made the playoffs. And that is the missing piece in the playoff era. So many people are fixated only on that. Wisconsin is not going to be able to make that again.
When these boys go and play in bowl games and they play non-conference games, they play the SEC. Wisconsin plays the SEC as well as anybody. You go back and look over the last 10 or 15 years. Go back and look at the results when they played Auburn, they played LSU, they played these teams. I mean, it's sometimes I don't think they get the respect because of the style in which they play. But I think if you really know football, watch football, man, there's a lot to appreciate about their game.
Absolutely. The way they played on both sides, the way they coached and adjusted in this game, and they came on the road in tough conditions, and they really dominated a 10-win Minnesota team, and the axe is in their grasp, and it's headed back to Madison. Reminded all year long by that entry trophy case. It's a respect rivalry that was reflected in the field today. And here goes the sprint. It's a sprint for that goalpost, and the axe will be paraded around. They'll chop down everything in sight, and then they'll take it back home and they'll own it for the next year. I love to see that.
That's college football right there, right?
Grown men acting like little kids.
Yeah.
They get a hand.
They all want to touch it, man. Look at them. They all want to get their hand on it.
And there's no chippiness. If you win the axe, you have the right to do this. That's what the Wisconsin players said about last year. And for Minnesota, it's been a pretty magical season. Tremendous step forward for this program in P.J. Fleck's third year. It'll end with a big disappointment in the snow here at home, but a 10-win season and a nice bowl game coming up.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the night for the Badgers to enjoy, but P.J. Fleck, his approach, the way he's going to recruit, the facilities, the commitment from this university, Minnesota, as long as they have P.J. Fleck, they're not going anywhere. They're going to continue to build and get stronger and stronger.
They paraded the axe all over the state of Minnesota like the Stanley Cup. It visited every town in the state. But it was a one-year stay, and that's it. It's headed back to Wisconsin. Well, they fell in an early hole. Well, they responded.
Look at the boys.
Every guy wants.
They're all taking turns. I don't know if that's just the seniors or what they're doing, but they're all taking turns. Who's next?
Oh, man. College football, Big Ten football in the snow here in Minneapolis. This was a lot of fun. And Maria braved the snowy conditions all day, and she's with Jonathan Taylor.
All right, I finally found him in the scrum. Okay, it was a season ago that you watched them parade around Camp Randall with that axe. Now you have it back. Describe the difference in emotions you're feeling right now.
I mean, it's exciting, and especially for the guys who we had lose it last year. We're doing it for them, and we're doing it for the seniors this year.
It's different because it's not just a win. You guys made a statement in this game. What was the point that you wanted to make coming into Minnesota?
We really wanted to know that you take from us, we're going to come back for it.
But you did that, and you get the Big Ten West title. What does it mean right now to walk and know that you're going to Indianapolis?
Yeah, definitely. And we just want to know that we're going to come out and play at all four quarters.
All right, they're telling me they need you, so go chop it down.
It's Taylor's turn. That's about as salty as he gets. He is pretty fired up. This was a sweet one for the Badgers.
Yeah, he's up.
You dare not actually touch the goalpost, but that's too precious to actually make contact with the steel goalpost. They have the axe. They have the Big Ten West. And they have their crack at the Buckeyes in Indy next Saturday. Hope you enjoyed it. This holiday weekend, snow angels for Wisconsin. Another thanks to our crew. Bill Bennell produced it, Derek Mobley directed it. Everybody in the crew who braved these tough conditions, including Maria Taylor, our folks in the booth. 38-17, the Badgers win. Kevin Nagandi and the College Football Scoreboard coming up right now.
football social media and by visiting Gophersports.com. Once again, final score, Minnesota 17, Wisconsin 38. Thank you for attending tonight's game. For your support all season long, roll the boat, sky 'em off, and go Gophers! Roll.